the galaxy calls, a chant from the stars to come live in the core. We'll jump together, my friends. Every flash of light's another hand to carry the weight. Jump on board, enter those cars. Oh, we're the wandering souls. We'll come and lend a hand for the distant world. Or take a blaster or two, cause in those pristine rings there's a fortune for you. We'll work together, my friend, as the mother load cracks. This might come to an end. But jump on board, enter those chords. Oh, we're the wandering souls. We'll come and lend a hand for the distant world. Laughter's fire and jump drives count. A voice comes feel, there's a chatter about the target set and the work's in your hands. Come and build a hope in the distant lands. Search those systems till there's nothing to find. Leave the trouble in the bubble way behind. This is your chance as the future unfolds. Come and lend a hand on the distant world.
Thank you for downloading Escape Velocity. This series is brought to you by my fantastic supporters at patreon.com/Radio Theatre Workshop. But financial support isn't the only way you can help this series. Please leave a review on iTunes, Stitcher, Pod Directory, or wherever you found and heard this episode. Reviews and ratings are so important to really help the show get discovered by even more listeners. Thank you.
Lorand, come in. Lorand, are you there? Please respond.
Agent 39? Is that you?
You're alive. And thank you not to call me 39.
Sorry, I used to call you Dallas. That's right.
I couldn't get in contact with your ship. I flew up here in my Viper and searched the battle wreck. Your flight recorder was being difficult, to say the least.
What happened?
It looks like you rammed Camilla's ship. Smashed it to pieces.
I am your dark shadow.
That's right. You tried to fulfill your purpose. It's exciting. How do you feel?
What do you mean, tried?
Camilla got away. Records indicate there was an escape pod that got cargo scooped by a local trader. Minutes after that, the ship left the system. I'd be prepared to take a good guess what happened.
I have to go after her.
What about May? What about recovering the prototype?
She'll have to wait. You don't know what it's like, Dallas. Now that I've seen my guiding light, I have to share my darkness.
Spoken like a true believer.
Amid the stars in the sky, humanity expands and thrives as it pushes back the boundaries of the universe. From the luxury of the core systems to the harsh worlds of the frontier, men still fight. Some fight for survival or greed. Some fight for a flag and others for retribution. But across the lonely darkness, they all share one aim: to be elite.
Escape Velocity, an Elite Dangerous audio adventure serial written and produced by Christopher Jarvis. Episode 6, Valiance.
All I'm saying is, if you could just drop me off at the nearest starport, I'd be very appreciative.
Nothing doing. Those creeps were after May for some reason. The first priority is getting her back to her father.
You've changed your tune. I thought you wanted to get away from all of us for a quiet life.
That's as maybe, but those guys gave me chills. Whatever they want May for, it isn't going to be good.
How so?
I don't know. I think they wanted to kill her.
How can you be sure of that?
They didn't want the other feds to know what they were doing. If they were officially working for the Federation, they could have swung some sort of prisoner transport. They wanted me to hand her over on the sly. That doesn't sound right.
What doesn't sound right?
The final of the women's interplanetary wrestling. They're using 25% less Lavian grub lube. I think they're making it too easy.
Huh. Gross. So, Thane, are we there yet?
We're in the system and heading towards the 11th planet, but I'm not convinced we're going to find anything.
I hope you're right about your father being able to help us, sweetheart. We're taking a hell of a risk coming to this system.
What's wrong with Facis? It's my home.
It's also the home of the Imperial Navy. Not people I want to be meeting today, thank you. If you were heading to one of the inner planets, I'd already be loading myself into the airlock.
What exactly does your father do, May?
I told you, he's an Imperial Senator. I'm not sure about his actual job. He tours around the systems in a big destroyer, delivering speeches.
Well, that might explain a few things. There's nothing at the 11th planet. No orbital stations, no gas platforms. I am getting a large mass register, though.
That'll be my father's ship. I'm from Topaz originally, but I feel like I've lived half my life on that ship.
And you want us to just fly up to an Imperial destroyer?
It'll be fine. Once I give my father's name, we'll get docking clearance and I can sort all of this out.
Tobias Havelock, eh? Can't say I've heard of him.
You're from the sticks. You haven't heard of anyone. I think I've heard of him. Can't quite remember where, though.
Incoming communication.
Open a channel.
Welcome, visitors, to the IND Valiance. Your ship has been cleared for docking in Bay 1. Please fly carefully along the central boulevard and follow the disembarkation instructions.
That was strangely easy.
I told you, it's not used for fighting. It's my father's diplomatic figurehead.
Let's hope they don't have diplomatic defences.
Where are you, you son of a spacer? Oh, the IND Valiance. Going on a little trip, are we? Don't think you can hide from me in there, Thane. I'm coming for you.
Docking successful. Engines disengaged.
Welcome, pilot of EV-223 Escape Velocity to the Imperial Navy Destroyer Valiance. Please be aware that photography is not permitted.
Oh, it's cold here. Witching cold.
So where is everybody?
I was just thinking that. Something's coming.
It's just a service robot.
Greetings, visitors, and welcome to the IND Valiance. Do you require any beverages? Can I take your litter?
May?
I'd like an ice crush, please. Pineapple.
I'm sorry. Drink stocks are currently offline. Can I help you with anything else?
Robot, where is everybody?
I'm sorry, but I'm not programmed to service that request. Can I help you with anything else?
We're looking for somebody.
Service personnel locations can be accessed via the wall plates. If you would like a tour, please request a guide drone from the wall terminal.
Well, he was a lot of use.
Computer, show me the current location for Senator Tobias Havelock.
Senator Havelock is in the hydroponic park, Deck 4. Would you like a tour drone?
Yes, please.
Drone stock depleted.
So something else is out of stock.
Please follow the courtesy green arrows I have illuminated for you on the deck floor.
Is it me, or does this place feel like a ghost ship?
There's something else odd here. According to the displays, the ship's engines are offline and the orbit is decaying. The Valiant is slowly falling into the planet below.
Oh no, I have to warn Father. How long have we got?
About 6 years. It's a pretty slow decay.
What is going on here?
Look, my father will explain everything.
He'd better, kid.
Come on. Come on, he's this way.
Now, this is a very nice hydroponic park. I've been thinking I should add a self-sustaining thing like this to my underground complex. It'd brighten it right up.
Yeah, it's nice, but what's the Senator doing hiding away in a park on an abandoned destroyer?
He should be right here. Oh.
It's just a statue.
Ugh, computers. I asked it for my father and it directed me to a statue of him instead. What's that?
Motion-activated system. Look out!
Welcome to the IND Valiance Memorial Garden, planted in honour of Imperial Senator Tobias Havelock. Born in 3140, he served the Empire diligently until his death in 3260.
What?
Senator Havelock was a champion of the Imperial way of life, staunch proponent of military strategy and advocate of the Enhancement Program, a bill that ensures all Imperial troops are more combat effective than their counterparts in the Federation or independent worlds. His is a tragic loss to the Empire, and one which is remembered here on the IND Valiance for all to consider and reflect as they enjoy this beautiful park.
This is an epitaph ship.
He must have been a big noise to get a ship like this as his headstone.
May, what is it?
It's a prank. A stupid prank. My father isn't dead.
That's great. How can you be sure?
Look at the date, silly. 3216. One of his staff must be playing a joke. He'll be very angry. My father doesn't have much of a sense of humour.
What's wrong with the date?
Well, it hasn't happened yet, of course.
I'm pretty sure it has.
Oh, don't be stupid.
May, what year do you think it is?
Come on. It's the first year of the new century, isn't it? 3200.
Oh dear.
May, the year is 3248. Your father has been dead for over 30 years.
But that's impossible.
And you're only, what, 14, 15?
But I remember living with him in our home on Topaz only last year. What does this mean?
That isn't the question. The question is, kid, where have you been for the last 50 years?
No. The question is, how much of you can I cut off before you lose consciousness?
Camilla, you survived.
Oh, I find a purpose keeps a girl alive. And now I'm gonna make you pay for double-crossing me.
How many times? I wasn't trying to double-cross you. Your robots got destroyed in battle. I was trying to replace them so I could make good on the shipment.
You opened them?
Well, I had to know what to replace.
And they weren't robots anyway, just life support systems for a person.
Oh, Alec, you idiot.
So you took a good look at them, huh?
I'd
Good job, I'm gonna kill you all anyway then. You know, do you never consider that the inside of a person's shipment is private? It's very rude. The inside of a shipping container is like the inside of a girl's heart. Which is funny, because now I'm gonna open up the inside of your heart. Who's there?
I'm here for you, Alpha 23.
Where are you? I can't see you.
That's because I'm a shadow. I'm your shadow. You are the light, and you cannot see me because I'm in your darkness.
What are you, some kind of religious nut? Leave me alone so I can torture and kill these three in peace and quiet. Ah! Oh, my gun! You shot it out of my hand! Oh, my hand is gone! You blew off my hand! Do you have any idea how much it costs to get a new one grown?
And Thane and May as well. How convenient. You should have given her up, Thane.
I didn't like your face.
You didn't tell me about this.
And you, the prototype. It's such a shame you don't know what you are.
What?
But then, I'm almost envious of the journey of discovery that is ahead of you.
You're not going to kill me?
I was, until I met her.
Me? What did I do?
From the moment I heard your voice, I knew my purpose. My soul was filled with a longing to meet with you and join with you.
Okay, kinky. But shooting my hand off isn't a way to impress a girl.
What are you doing?
Finishing a job the Imperial Navy started. They were supposed to get rid of this ship, but it looks like the engines dropped offline. Now I need to get rid of all this evidence, so I'm going to restart the engines and drop this ship into the gas giant below.
Why did the Navy want to get rid of my father's ship?
Because Daddy was an embarrassment. Imagine that. The Empire sets up a huge orbital testimony to the Great Senator, and then Federation intelligence let slip to them what he was really up to. They couldn't get rid of this floating hall of shame quickly enough.
My father was a traitor.
Oh, that doesn't even begin to do justice to describe our father.
Our?
That's right, my dear, sweet, beautiful sister.
Sister? And that's why you won't kill me?
No. I won't kill you because I want you to feel this purpose that I feel in the presence of Alpha 23, my own personal guiding light.
I'm a what now?
You are everything to me, Camilla. You are my beginning and my end. You are my light. I must touch you, that I may share my darkness with you.
Hey, what are you doing? Get off me! Stop touching me!
Genetic identity confirmed. Subject is Alpha 23. Activating weapon.
There's some kind of gas coming out of her mouth.
Oh, help! Help me! Help! Oh my god!
That is disgusting.
They're both melting. Oh, quick, let's get out of here before that gas reaches us. No time, run!
What's happening?
Loran started up the engines again. The ship is resuming its course back into the gas giant.
Well, how long have we got?
Not long enough to stand here and work it out. We have to get back to my ship, as fast as we can.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Come on, May!
I don't understand. What does it mean? Who am I?
This isn't the time for that, May. We have to go.
What's the point?
The point is we have to live. Survive first, questions later. That's how it works out here. Come on.
Okay.
Which way?
Bay 1 was this way, I think.
Should we try to grab Camilla or Loran's ship?
We need to grab whatever ship we get to first. I don't think we've got time to be choosing.
Right you are.
Space! It sounds like the planet's coming in on us.
It's just the hull buckling. Don't worry, we won't crash. It's more likely that the bulkhead will crack and we'll be sucked down into space before that.
You're a real comfort, thanks.
Or maybe the pressure of the gas giant will crush us.
Yeah, great. Come on, May, we've got to keep moving.
Bay 1 access. Please confirm identity. Incorrect identity.
What's wrong?
Oh, my hands are shaking. I input the wrong code.
Bay 1 access. Please confirm identity. Welcome back, Commander Thane.
Let's go. Kurlek, can you take May down to the cargo bay? She's barely conscious. I need you to secure her so she doesn't get hurt.
Righto.
Come on, faster.
Ship released. Engines engaged.
God, it's falling into the planet. We made it. We got away.
Great.
Are you okay? Did I ever tell you why I called my ship Escape Velocity?
No.
I grew up on a frontier system. The dream out there is to work hard and make more living space in the universe. We all dream of taking our own little dust ball of a planet and turning it into a New Caledonia or Capitol or even Earth. But somewhere along the line, that dream never reaches orbit. You struggle away, trading goods, breaking asteroids, trying to stay alive amid the pirates, the greedy corporations, and dirty cops. One day, I was watching a Panther Clipper take off, and I thought about the amount of power that ship had to have just to break free of the gravity of the planet below. And I thought about my life. I knew that I didn't have the power or will to generate enough escape velocity to leave my old life behind. Something or someone would always drag me back down to ground. Until one day, I decided that if I let go of the things I already had, I could maybe make a new life in the core, where I believed things would be better on my own. I'm not saying my idea was right, but I am saying that where I've come from and the things I've done are only a prelude to my life ahead. Maybe my past does define who I am, but it doesn't limit what I can be if I just choose to break free of it.
I don't even know where I've come from.
We can figure that out, if it's what you want.
Just leave me alone.
We have to run. It's the only option.
Run where exactly?
to the frontier.
I told you I can't go back there. There's a price on my head.
I'm not exactly a free man there either. I'm as unhappy about this as you are.
Where do you think we should go? We could head out to the Eastern Rim.
I don't want to risk travelling further into Imperial space, and we'd have to go through that to get to the Eastern frontier. If I had the choice, I'd rather go somewhere I may still have some allies.
I'm all out of allies in the independent systems.
I have some I left behind. I can take you to my home, and there may be people who can protect you and May.
What about you?
I seem to have enemies in the Federation, the Empire, and the Independents now. Maybe I can find someone who can forge me a new identity. Or maybe once you and May are safe, I can lease a mining rig and disappear beyond the frontier.
It's a long trip.
And we can't make it in just this ship, not as it's currently configured. The life support systems are already under strain with 3 of us on them.
So?
So we trade. We sneak into systems we can land without getting arrested. We take on deliveries and trade runs as best we can, and try and upgrade the ship.
We'll be taking a big risk.
We're out of risk-free options, I think.
What about her?
I don't know. Since the statue, she just... The life seems to have gone out of her. She's just sat in the cargo bay, staring out at the stars.
May? May? May?
Oh no!
May, you listening?
No, stop!
You have to concentrate, May.
I don't want to listen.
You have to finish your lessons. May? 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 It's out of my head!
In that episode of Escape Velocity, Amy Timms played May, Christopher Jarvis, Thane, Liam Macaulay, Dallas, Rebecca Keeves, Lorand, Alan Wales played Kurlek, Janet Westwood Wilson, Camilla, Anthony Wilkes was the service robot, and Jane Beswarwick was Epitaph, with Verity Croft as the voice of the computer. Escape Velocity was written and produced by Christopher Jarvis, with additional music by Alan Stroud, and is a Radio Theatre Workshop production. This work contains non-law fiction set in the Elite Dangerous galaxy. Elite Dangerous is copyright Frontier Developments plc. For more information, please visit escapevelocity.laveradio.com.
The Azimuth Saga.
Since the end of October last year, a number of historic sites and several old vehicles have been discovered. They've cast a light on some of the earliest contacts between humanity and the other 2 sentient civilizations that we know about, the Thargoids and the Guardians, and also on early attempts to harness the power of the technology of these ancient and mysterious races. The story involves 2 competing pharmaceutical companies, Azimuth Biochemicals and Pharmasapien, and what they uncovered nearly 200 years ago, information that, to the best of our current knowledge, was lost with those who discovered it. But it seems that we might have much more to discover.
Prologue. The Adamastor and the Barnacles. In the second half of 3306, humanity was growing complacent. The Thargoid invasion of human-occupied space that reached its peak in mid-3305, with the Thargoids only one step away from Sol, humanity's historical home system, had evaporated. No one understands why we were spared, but, other than some minor skirmishes, mainly in the Witchhead Nebula, the Thargoids were no longer a serious threat. The joint superpower task force set up to counter the Thargoid threat, Aegis Research, Defence and Core, was largely defunded. Thargoids were last year's news. At the very end of October 3306, an historical curiosity turned up in the Chukchan system, in the form of an ancient megaship, the Adamastor. The Alliance Salvage Guild undertook a preliminary survey.
The Adamastor has been travelling at sublight speed through interstellar space for nearly 200 years. There are no remains of the crew. All escape pods and secondary craft have been launched, and several airlocks were manually opened from within. A complete absence of identification suggests that this ship was intended for clandestine operations. All data drives have been deliberately erased.
While the Salvage Guild was interested mainly in the fee it could claim for recovering the unmanned Adamastor, investigators from the Wallglass Investigations Agency felt there might be more to the story of this ancient vessel.
I convinced the Alliance Salvage Guild to pass on some serial numbers and stuff that they discovered inside the Adamastor. Then I started scouring databases and interviewing my old sources and, well, doing my old job. The megaship was owned by a corporation called Azimuth Biochemicals. This was taken over by a similar company called Pharmasapien, but both were liquidated long ago. No mission records exist, but service crew reports mention that the Adamastor's passengers included scientists and engineers and some kind of military. Eventually, I unearthed a flight plan logged in October 3111. It plotted a course towards Barnard's Loop with fuel for approximately 370 light years and was scheduled to pass by the HIP 39748 and HIP 33386 systems. I'm way too old to head out there myself, but I hope someone can use this info and help satisfy my curiosity about what happened all those years ago.
The trail was a confusing one. During this top-secret 200-year-old voyage, the Adamastor did indeed initially head towards Barnard's Loop, but it doubled back on itself. After considerable research and a certain amount of luck, the geological research base that the Adamastor had been sent to with a mission to recover a mysterious object was located in the Muscadart region PJ-P B6-1 system, very close to the Coalsack Nebula. Accounts recovered from the base and from surrounding sites revealed that this geological survey had come across a string of extremely active Thargoid sites with barnacles and a rich supply of meta-alloys. This may have been the earliest properly documented encounter with Thargoids. While the Thargoids seemed generally benign, the survey team came across a crashed Thargoid ship and recovered something, possibly a Thargoid pilot or a Thargoid sensor, and it was this recovered item that Azimuth Biochemicals was so keen to recover. But something went badly wrong. Some of those on board the Adamastor seemed to have attempted to take over the ship. Many of the Geological Survey team members were gunned down, and others were abandoned at the remote site. This may have been the work of rival company Pharmasapien, but it was certainly messy, and they didn't get far with their alien haul. The Adamastor started malfunctioning, and the crew were apparently driven mad by whatever their Thargoid cargo was. Whatever happened to them? When the ship arrived back in Chukchan in October last year, neither the crew nor the alien cargo was present.
The Alliance was quick to exploit the newfound source of Thargoid meta-alloys, establishing Beatoncourt Base and a number of other stations in the region, and their partner Sirius Atmospherics started surveying ammonia worlds in the sector with the intention of terraforming them. And on the very last day of 3306, the Thargoids attacked this new attempt to harvest their resources, both in the Coalsack Nebula and in the Witchhead Nebula. Admiral Aidan Tanner, military liaison to Aegis Defence, was powerless to act.
This is a resurgence of Thargoid activity on a scale that we have not witnessed for a long time. Unfortunately, drastic reductions in funding and resources mean that Aegis is unable to provide adequate defensive measures.
It was the independent pilots of the Pilots Federation that drove back the Thargoids in both locations, leading to accusations that the Alliance was relying on external military support to protect it, while it profited from plundering Thargoid sites. Professor Albertezzo, head of Aegis Research, appealed for a re-evaluation of priorities.
Humanity's focus on petty internal conflicts has blinded us to the existential threat of the Thargoids. Their recent horrific attacks should be a wake-up call to the fact that defunding has crippled Aegis's ability to offer protection. We strongly entreat our founders to come together and channel resources towards Aegis, and particularly into research. There can be no hope of coexistence with this alien species unless we increase our understanding of them. Act 1. The Hesperus and the Dredger Clan. On the 8th of April 3307, more than 5 months after its unexpected return to the Chukchan system, a previously inert beacon on the megaship Adamastor started broadcasting an encrypted message, believed to be relayed from its sister ship, the Hesperus, which went missing just a few years after the Adamastor, urged on by a mysterious scientist calling themselves Salvation, who made dramatic promises about saving humanity and, more importantly, provides a decryption key for the message coming in from the beacon. Commanders found 3 more beacons that eventually led them to the wrecked Hesperus megaship. Located in the asteroid belt around the second star in the Perseus Dart region, KC-V C2-2, the Hesperus was in the process of being dismantled for scrap and information by the Scriveners clan and their space dredger. The Warglass Detective Agency provided some useful background.
The Scriveners clan was originally a fleet of research vessels for a long-forgotten academic consortium. Over centuries they became a self-sufficient society, constantly acquiring material and information. They're not aggressive, but do shun outsiders and jealously guard their knowledge core. I'm fascinated by mentions of research sergeants and lector generals, suggesting their culture is a merger of scholastic and military. With the Hesperus claimed as salvage by the Scriveners and its drives all stripped, all chance of learning more was lost. Luckily, 4 encoded data files have resisted upload, and a gap in the dredger's antiquated firewalls allowed pilots to hack them.
Those encrypted data files described the fate that befell the Azimuth Biochemicals crew, indicating that Azimuth and their rival Pharma Sapien were actively seeking contact with alien civilizations following the earlier events surrounding the Adamastor, and stating clearly that a number of the scientists in the crew had escaped the Hesperus and would continue the search for alien technology in the vicinity of the Hesperus. Salvation contacted commanders who visited the site, offering them a lucrative contract to deliver whatever logs they could from the Hesperus, a message later reinforced by Patience Middleton, a representative of Taurus Mining Ventures.
Salvation has authorised us to offer 2 million credits or 10 units of void opals for delivering the Hesperus's logs. This contract ends on the 21st of May 3307, after which payments will not be available. We have been asked to relay the message below. This is Salvation. I call myself this as I cannot yet reveal my identity, but my scientific breakthroughs will literally save all of humanity. The Adamastor and the Hesperus were just the beginning, as I have always known. For my intrepid agents, there will be further work to come.
Meanwhile, Aegis Research, oblivious to the work Salvation had been doing, started work on a research program to develop new anti-Thargoid weaponry by analysing Guardian technology. Professor Albertezro explained.
At the Galactic Summit, Aegis agreed to undertake a fresh analysis of Guardian technology. The hope is that this will lead to the development of more effective defences against the Thargoids. We therefore require new samples to compare with Ramtar's groundbreaking work on this mysterious species. If we can gain new insights into Guardian technology from these samples, then funding and resources for our work may continue.
The initiative was overwhelmingly successful, leaving Aegis's megaship the Alexandria stuffed full of valuable Guardian artefacts. Location in Delphi, in the Pleiades, Aegis lost valuable time in bureaucratic meanderings, and for the time being, the Alexandria stayed put.
Act 2. The Proteus and an Ancient Battlefield. It seems likely that it was the provocative presence of the Alexandria with its cargo of Guardian technology that provoked the Thargoids to their next major attack on starports following the New Year's Eve attack on the 13th of May. With burning starports all around, the Alexandria jumped to HIP 16538, heading for Sol. It was pursued by enough Thargoids to attract the attention of the federal authorities, who banned the megaship from entering Sol or any other federal system. Captain Jacob Morales, the commanding officer of the Alexandria, described how he had replotted his ship's route.
On Thursday, we will make a hyperspace jump to the HIP 30944 system. Since this has a small population, the risk of casualties will be low if the Thargoids continue to pursue us. Once there, we will arrange to offload our cargo and distribute it to multiple locations.
Not entirely unexpectedly, the megaship Alexandria vanished while attempting this jump. Admiral Aidan Tanner of Aegis seemed willing to accept the loss without making any great effort to locate the missing ship.
We regret to announce a complete loss of contact with the Alexandria. Although there is no evidence of damage or destruction, its disappearance while travelling through hyperspace raises the possibility that it was intercepted en route by Thargoid forces. Captain Jacob Morales and over 4,000 crew members will be listed as missing, presumed dead. In addition to this great tragedy, Aegis's research program into Guardian technology has been severely impacted by the loss of many precious artifacts.
Having analysed the logs returned to Taurus Mining Ventures, on the 11th of June, Salvation for a third time requested the help of commanders. By finding a string of navigation beacons, he believed that the survivors from the Hesperus could be found. Commander Tyler Torson described being contacted.
I was taking some sightseers on a trip round the Hesperus and getting as close as I dared to the Scriveners clan dredger. I scanned the tourist beacon for them and suddenly received a direct message from this Salvation guy. He asked me to track down some old signal beacons, which are listening posts configured to retransmit long-range comms. Apparently, these could help locate the survivors from the megaship. But the Hesperus is ancient history. Surely there can't be anything or anyone left to find.
But it turns out that there was more to find. Just 2 days later, the Proteus Anaconda, a tender to the megaship Hesperus, was discovered on planet Trapezium Sector YU-X C1-2 1A. It had been rigged up with a laboratory and communications equipment, and some serious science had clearly been done at the site. And what an amazing sight it was! 2 abandoned Guardian structures and the wreckage of several Thargoid ships marking the location of an ancient battle between aliens, the first and so far only evidence of both alien species on the same planet. The information left behind at the Proteus Anaconda made it clear that the scientists had been working on developing weaponry using the Guardian technology they had recovered from the ruins. They had, unfortunately, killed themselves in the process. After learning about this new find, Aegis, still smarting from the loss of the Alexandria, and Salvation, working through Taurus mining ventures, both put out an appeal for the Guardian technology that could be salvaged from the ancient sites. The vast majority of commanders chose to support Salvation over Aegis, with Aegis's Archimedes megaship unlikely to attract the level of attention from Thargoids that the Alexandria received. Salvation's megaship, Glorious Prospect, was loaded full of Guardian technology, and a special Guardian shard cannon was distributed as a reward to those that helped. Aegis, possibly acting in spite, had these rewards declared hot, and the Pilots' Federation warned commanders that Salvation was an unknown quantity and that undertaking work for a possibly illegal organisation could have consequences.
On the 9th of July, the Scrivener's clan dredger, which had been busily stripping the Hesperus of anything of value, suddenly vanished. The Wallglass Investigations Agency speculated why this might be.
When the Scriveners laid claim to the Hesperus, I expected only a cloud of fragments would remain. But their salvage operation has been prematurely abandoned, after stripping the megaship's innards and leaving behind a mostly intact hull. But why have they done this? Well, perhaps because this particular dredger clan avoids outsiders. Alternatively, the Scriveners detected richer pickings elsewhere, either fresh resources for the dredger to consume, or new information for their knowledge core. In theory, they could still be tracked down, as their vessel's hyperdrive has a similar range to modern-day fleet carriers.
It seems highly likely that wherever the Scriveners have gone to, wherever they might be, in a 500 light-year radius from the Hesperus in Perseus' dark region KC-V C2-2, is where we can find the next part of the 200-year-old story of Azimuth and Pharma Sapien, and quite possibly discover new secrets about the Thargoids and the Guardians, and help to develop those new anti-Thargoid weapons that Aegis and Salvation seem so keen on.
Galnet News Digest, 29th of July 3307. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news,
NMLA attack their own after poll defeat.
Mission of Misery confirmed.
Return of the missing crew. Marlinist First Minister Jenna Fairfax is feared dead following 2 simultaneous attacks on Marlinist starports this morning. The death toll is still rising, but it is expected to be in the tens of thousands, with far more victims injured and maimed. Stillman Hub and Tillman Point stations were attacked by what initially appeared to be Thargoids, but an only partly coherent message from the NMLA made it clear that this was their handiwork. The message made heavy use of ironic rhetorical questions, suggesting that we ask ourselves why Theta 7 is bombing his own home. The message goes on to answer this question, saying that the Marlinist colonies are not homes, not colonies, but prisons where obsequious traitors to the cause of Marlinism beg for scraps from those who expelled them. Theta 7 makes clear that the Marlinist colonists, who chose not to elect an NMLA candidate as their prime consul, are not his people, and that true Marlinists, by which he presumably means the NMLA, will not stop fighting until they have restored the Republic of Achenar after its 1,000-year-long hiatus. There seems to be little appetite in the Empire to depose the Emperor and declare a republic, so we can only assume that Theta 7 and his fellow terrorists in the NMLA will fight on well into their old age. Meanwhile, the person the Marlinists actually did elect as Prime Consul, Ko Tau, has appealed for assistance dealing with the humanitarian crisis caused by the 2 bombings, appealing for ships equipped with passenger cabins and heat sinks to assist in the evacuation effort at Stillman Hub in HIP 22550 and Tillman Point in Hyades Sector RO-P B6-6. Meanwhile, the Thargoid-attacked station Kipling Orbital in Pleiades Sector KC-Y C2-11 also needs help in evacuating the inhabitants, and Malthus Terminal in Pleiades Sector HR-W D1-41 has started the repair process following a Thargoid attack and needs vast quantities of repair equipment delivered.
With 3 megaships paid for, the Order of the Far God has confirmed that it plans to do some god bothering. Only the god they plan to bother is the Far God, and the likely consequence is not only the imminent destruction of 2 perfectly good megaships, but the hastening of the return of the Thargoids to the human-inhabited bubble. The cultist formerly known as Leonard Yates, and who is now known as the 89th adherent of the 60th chapter, explained that the megaship known as the Testament will bring the good news about the coming apocalypse to every system in the bubble, 1 jump at a time. While the other 2 new megaships, the Perdition and the Sacrosanct, will go on what he described as a holy pilgrimage, carrying thousands of misguided victims, which he described as pilgrims, to commune with the Far God, which presumably means to meddle with the Thargoids and make them annoyed. The Far God cult seems to be doing the best it can to get that apocalypse moved up the schedule.
Do you remember all those crew members you lost? The ones you've given up for dead and replaced with new hires? Well, they're back. And they want to be paid. There was an unfortunate glitch in resurrection services at the Pilots Federation that meant that when commanders tried to rehire crew members after the ship they were on became unexpectedly disassembled, compressed or vaporized, the crew member was instead and incorrectly dispatched to Soylent Industries for a new life in the food industry. The good news is they're all still alive. A hitch in the manufacturing process over at Soylent meant that when the Pilots Federation discovered its mistake, it was able to retrieve many thousands of crew members and unite them with their commanders. This has the unfortunate side effect that some commanders will now find themselves with more than the normal limit of 3 crew members, and this may have something of an impact on the commander's earning potential. For the next 4 weeks, the Pilot Federation will operate a furlough scheme, with the commander's wage contribution capped at 45% of earnings. After 4 weeks, everything the commander earns can be swallowed up by the wages of their supernumerary staff. Commanders are advised to assess their staff, select the best 3, and slap redundancy notices on the remainder to ensure that profits are not unduly impacted. Solid Industries has offered to buy back any unwanted crew members for use in their food production plants, so there's no need to worry that any crew members will go to waste.
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News. We read the news so you don't have to.
The Lave Radio project was our last best hope for news. A self-contained podcast 2 hours long, located in neutral territory. A place of nonsense and innuendo for forum dads, community members and developers. A shining beacon in space, all alone on a Tuesday night. It was the dawn of the 3rd chapter of Elite. The year's space legs came upon us all. This is the story of the last of the Lavian stations. The year is 3307. The name of the place? Lave Radio.
Good evening. Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 353 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix Defire, Chief Archivist of Lave Station, otherwise known as Colin Ford, and joining me in the Orange Sidewinder bar for this episode, we have our Head of Health and Safety, Commander Edelweiss.
I'm just playing with the controls, don't worry about me.
That's fine. We also have our Inhuman Resources Director, Commander Shan.
Hello.
Unfortunately, Commander Psykit can't be with us tonight because she's not feeling too well. So get well soon, Psykit. But in order to replace her, we've called in some favors, and we've got three new people. Well, we've got Commander Yanick. You happy with that one?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes, we have our Broom Broom Beep Beep specialist, Commander Alec Turner.
Broom Broom Beep Beep.
Yeah. And of course, we have our head of steam trains and all Isle of Man matters, Commander Mack.
Hello.
Hello. So we've got you three to replace Psykit by yourself. Don't worry, we won't be forcing you to read any smut.
Oh.
But you can if you want to.
Somebody's got to.
No, if you wish, you can join us live. We're hanging out in game in open at. Are we at Lave Station, Ben?
No, we are at in Pomesh.
Ah, Pomesh. Right.
Well, I'm currently at Drexler colony in orbit in orbit in Pomesh, basically.
Cool. And I take it you've got Commander Alec Turner with you.
Not at the moment. I don't know it might be a bit painful for Alec to get here.
Yeah, sadly not. I'm still in the Spirograph Nebula, so it's a long way.
Oh, that is a bit far away. Yeah, I can understand that now. If you can't get to us in game, you can join us on the Twitch chat channel, which you can access through laveradio.com/live. Click on the live chat and go to twitch.tv/laveradio. If not, then you can also go to YouTube, where we're broadcasting there, or on Facebook Live. Is it Facebook Live or just Facebook?
I think it's just put your face in the book.
Yeah, it's all these new technical terms. We'll be on Instagram next.
We want to see you do TikTok dancing, Colin.
TikTok dancing? God, the horror. The horror that would be unfolded. Oh, no. We'll leave that alone. Right, so we'll go around the team, see what they've been up to this week. If nobody minds, we'll leave Ben to last, because I'm quite sure he's got a lot to talk about. So, can we start with Shan?
I've had quite a mixed week, to be fair. I'm still kind of processing it, really. I heard I think it's on Sunday, that a commander I played with and was a member of the Hammers of Slough, a Commander Boff, had unfortunately passed on Sunday. So yeah, that's kind of everyone who sort of knew him and played with him. I think he was a regular on Cal's quizzes as well. So unfortunately, he passed in quite tragic circumstances. Really, do you want to get the depressing bit out of the way and line it up, or?
Well, yeah, let's get out of the way.
Yeah, well, I know Boff. I know who Boff is, at least.
Yeah, well, apparently, last year he got furloughed from his job, and then partway through the year he got made redundant from his job, and he then underwent depression, which then led to well, he didn't commit suicide per se, but basically he died of liver failure because of that. So it's sad to see another COVID, but not COVID victim. But anyway, we're sending best wishes to his family and commiserations and all that sort of stuff. And I'm hoping, along with Nat's Right, arrange a meetup with his friends and colleagues and stuff like that to remember him, really, and celebrate his life. So yeah, that was the depressing bit for this week.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was actually thinking, Ben, the talk Paige did on mental health and stuff like that. You know, I think we should put that in the show notes in case anyone is feeling particularly down.
If you can add that to our show notes, then I will remember to make it into the show notes. Because if you just say it, I will forget.
Yeah. So that's been kind of a mixed week, really. But on a lighter note, I do have to admonish Colin just then for his introduction to Alec and Mack, because it made them sound like they were about to burst into the Bits and Bobs song, you know, chugging along, that one.
No, I don't know that one. I'm not that old.
I was tempted to do an excerpt from Ivor the Engine.
I remember that.
I thought you were going to say we sounded like Bleep and Booster.
Better that than Bill and Ben.
So you're Ben, who's Bill?
I know one Bill.
Flop-a-lot.
Right. Okay. Before we get distracted before we start discussing Bagpuss and everything else, because we know that it'll eventually lead to we all know it'll eventually lead to Thomas the Tank Engine, and then we really are on the tangent line.
No, it's Windy Miller. Windy Miller's when it really.
What about Jamie and his magic torch?
Right. Okay. That's it. Come on.
Actually,
Come on.
Which is the I win button?
Okay.
Jamie and his magic torch or Ulysses 31?
Pop quiz. What was the name of the guy who used to, at the end of the credits, used to turn a handle and the credits used to scroll up? Do you remember him?
No.
Was it Wendy Miller?
Yes.
Oh, we're talking
yes,
about back in
yes,
Psykit
I think
again.
it was Wendy Miller.
Oh my God.
Or is that apocryphal?
And welcome to Lave Radio Old Persons Children Television.
I thought it was Master Bates anyway.
No, that's an urban
That's a
myth.
myth.
Oh, right.
That's a myth. Yeah, he was
Sorry.
never in Captain Pugwash. Although if you look at the character names in Magic Roundabout, they were remarkably similar to the effects of hallucinogenic mushrooms.
You're on about Dylan the Rabbit, aren't you?
And the sugar lumps I used to make.
Oh yeah, he had a
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you give a 5-year-old kid sugar lumps, they end up going that manic. No, don't.
We've actually got nieces and nephews staying with us at the moment, and they're outside. They want to sleep outside in the tent, and just as a present, I'm going to get them to taste sugar-free Monster for the first time before they go to bed.
Okay.
Oh, you cruel sod! Are you going to give them a drum as well?
Well, we should be sleeping upstairs, and my brother-in-law and his wife are going to be sleeping downstairs, so we'll be out of the way.
Your brother, do you? You don't like your family.
So I think giving them a drum and Red Bull will be great fun. I was sleeping outside in the tent, so I can probably get the Tesla to play ghost sounds at them at like 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that to really get them going.
Right, well, moving on from child endangerment, Commander Alec Turner, what have you been up to for the last week or so?
What have I been doing? Last weekend I went to the Brooklands Museum, which is a fabulous day out for anyone that's into their motoring or aeroplanes. It's got it's famous for having one of these big banked tracks that they used to set a lot of speed records. And
Is that the one? Is that the one James made? His railway track around or scale?
Oh yes, could well be. Yep,
It was. Yeah.
They have a Concorde and lots of old aeroplanes that you can go around, and they've got extraordinary things like vacuum chambers that they used to do testing in. And yeah, it's a really good day out. Actually, strongly recommend it. They had a classic car show, which was a nice day out.
It isn't part of a housing estate now.
Yes, it's very strange.
Yeah,
because it's very strange because you can they have a sort of vintage bus shed as well, so you can get on a vintage bus, which ironically for me isn't that vintage. It's what I remember going up and down Oxford Street in, so it doesn't seem like it's a bit weird that it's now considered history.
Did you then shout out the wheels on the bus go round and round?
Exactly, yeah. But they drive around the town in this bus, and you can see, you catch odd glimpses of this banked track. So there's a bit of it behind the Sainsbury's, and there's another bit of it that goes around the back of the library. And so yeah, it's very odd, but it's a good place.
Excellent.
Yeah, and in game, I've headed out to the Spirograph Nebula because I've got a bit bored of looking at planets that make me sad, and I wanted to see something that was beautiful. And the Spirograph Nebula, I can confirm, is still stunning. And what I'm going to do, it's got a lot of landable planets, and I'm going to, during next week, do a bit of a survey and just try and get an overall impression of what an average system full of lots of landable planets is like. Try not to bring too many prejudices to that.
You've actually sort of reminded me, actually. I actually did play some Odyssey this week. And I've actually even got a good thing to say about the new UI. So there we go.
That's a shocker.
Well, I made my way over to Robigo because apparently that's the in thing to make money these days. So I took one of my other commanders over there to make some credits. And you do passenger missions between Robigo and Sophis and whatnot. But when you take the mission, there's now a button that says autofill when you take a passenger mission. And it will fill up all the available passenger slots with your passengers, so you haven't got to play passenger Jenga with missions anymore. You can just click autofill and it will just do it automatically. So it's a brilliant addition. So that's really good quality of life I didn't know about. Click on autofill on passenger missions.
Hang on, Shan, does that go off and so it accepts like all the passenger missions, and then if there's one for 3 people, it'll take that 3-person passenger mission to fill up your last 3 slots?
Yes.
Wow, that is impressive.
Well, you have to click on them. You have to click on the mission, so you click on the mission and then you click autofill, and if it will fit the passengers in, you can accept it and away you go. And if it can't fit them in, the mission would just be grayed out. But I think about passenger missions. I used to be all fed up because you could never fill all the passenger slots up without juggling them around or counting the number of passengers. But this, you just click and put autofill, and away you go.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Very cool. Mack, how have you been?
Well, I've been, along with Commander Yanick, I've been doing the Apollo 15 expedition, which ended on Saturday. And I've been doing the actual traveling in Odyssey and meetups in Horizons. And it's been quite interesting to see the differences doing it that way. But I've actually enjoyed the traveling in Odyssey. I found some quite nice sites to explore on SRV and on foot. I found one place that really reminded me of the Utah salt flats, sort of a big flat, sort of you know how clay goes when it dries out and it cracks, but this is white, so it looked like a salt flat and with mountains in the distance. And I got quite a nice picture of because I did this mission because it was only about 20,000 light years. There was no need for a super optimized ship to do it in, exploration ship. So I did it in my courier. Cool. And it looked really good seeing the courier. A picture of me standing in the foreground of the courier in the background, and the mountains, the kind of, in quotes, salt flats, and to help, it actually was the atmosphere was actually a blue sky on this one, so it did look quite. It was a pretty nice find, I thought. And I found some other nice places to wander around. I tried a bit of mountain climbing, which was good fun on foot, and there's various techniques you can apply to try and go a little bit further than you can jump or your jetpack can carry you. So I had a bit of fun with that. And so
is it possible to squish yourself with a jetpack? So if you go up too high and then you run out of fuel or whatever it is, will they fall?
It never happened to me. It's possible, but I didn't really want to risk it on an expedition where I might sort of lose all my data. Oh, that reminds me, I haven't actually sold, but because I found some plants and stuff, and I haven't actually gotten around to selling because I forgot it was a thing. But I got some biological exobiology data to sell, I guess. So,
yes, that's a public service announcement, isn't it? If you die, if your SRV blows up or you die on foot, you lose all your exo data and your codex data. It's not saved. So Collins and
so I was being careful to not die. The trouble is in the past, when I take my courier on expeditions, I've usually ended up crashing at some point, because the temptation to switch flight assist off and then boost and fly at incredibly high speeds. Oh, talking about incredibly high speeds, we did at the start of the expedition, we did a little experiment. With the force cannons, I think they're called. If you fire them at a landed ship, the landed ship kind of stores the momentum and sits there sort of pregnant and bursting with energy. And then you fly another ship, and all you do is you just touch the ship that had the force cannons fired at it, and then you'll fly off at incredible velocities. I got a beluga liner up to 1,800 meters a second.
That sounds a correct thing to troll people with.
Weren't people doing that in DW2 as well? I'm sure. I remember it's been a thing for a while.
And yes, and also the Burr Pit found it highly amusing to throw me into orbit in my SRV using the technique.
Yeah, we never got an SRV into orbit, but we practically, I almost got this balloon. The funny thing is, I was flying back after being flung an incredible distance. I was flying back to our landing site, and all of a sudden the ship just stopped in midair, landed. I thought, this is weird. This was on Pomesh, actually. We did all this on Pomesh 2C. And so my beluga stopped. I thought, what happens if I launch my SRV? So I launched my SRV, which fell out the bottom and fell through the surface of the planet, went through the core and out the other end. You could see the G meter going down, as it should do as you approach the core. And I sort of went through the middle of the planet. And I think if the trouble is it would take too long and we were going to orbit to do a mass jump. But I think if I'd left it, I'd have probably come out the surface the other side and I'd just oscillated back and forward forever. It was very bizarre bug.
Can I introduce a quiz for the dear listeners and streamers? Because there's something I think as one of you two posted in Discord, which got me fascinated, is I've seen screenshots of people putting the Guardian footballs and Thargoid probes inside the concourse of spaces. So the question is, how do you think you could get a Thargoid probe or a Guardian football inside of a concourse?
Should we give the answer at the end of the show?
Yeah, and suggestions in the chat room, and we'll get Alec to spill the beans at the end of the show. I think that's fair enough. Apparently, I was close, but not close enough.
Was this one of these kind of guess how many teddy bears there are in this container type of quiz?
Nope.
You put teddy bears in the container.
Well done. Expose them to a vacuum.
Well done, that man. We should have a teddy bear in a jam jar we kept on the shelf with the lid shut. Anyway,
don't have air holes.
No, of course not.
I think if you don't mind, we'll move on from old toys to Commander Yanick. I hope that there's no association between old toys and Commander Yanick. But how have you been for the last week?
Pretty good, thanks. As I just start with the real life bit first. I actually became a Twitch affiliate this week, which I'm quite happy about. So a little bit of an achievement there. But
nice.
As Max says, at the back of Apollo sort of 15, that ended recently, and as Mac was saying, it's a wonderful experience. It really was. I mean, you had this huge range of people from people who'd never explored before, or barely explored, virtual beginners to be fair, and people like some of the grizzled veterans, who again, even before I was a Kickstarter sort of era elite hit, and bringing them all together and in the same sort of expedition. Had a little bit of a sort of micro distant worlds feel to it. I'm not saying that to big myself up or anything, or Mac Winston for that matter, but just few people said that to us, it was that bit of that distant worlds magic again, and that's about one of the best compliments anyone's ever paid any of us, because Mac was actually one of the staff for the expedition as well. So it's very hard to summarize it, but he's done a pretty good introduction, to be fair.
Oh, excellent. Right, let's have a quick going over what I've done this week. Basically, obviously, the Colin for Colonia thing is still happening. I managed to get another 5-10 systems closer to Colonia with a whole load of biological data scanned, which I was quite happy about. I actually went back to power play with my Epic Commander and found that my faction has dropped to 4th from 1st in a month. So basically, I've started working for the Emperor again. So just to give her the support she needs, and that drove me mad. And of course, I've been joining in with a couple of the on-foot missions now that update 6 was out, which we'll touch on later. So I've had a pretty packed elite week, really. Right, I think we should move on to Ben, who's had something special happened to him this week.
It's nothing special, but on Thursday I wound up accidentally basically being part of the Frontier stream, which I think is what you're getting at, Colin.
I would know you haven't mentioned it.
I only managed to save Arf's life in the most epic rescue ever.
Did you?
I think it was.
This is the first I'm hearing about it.
Is it? Oh my gosh. I'm not the kind of commander who shows up to do a multiplayer mission in a ship that only has one seat, unlike his co-pilot who was meant to be doing things with him.
Yes.
But yeah, so I did that, and that was pretty epic. And I swooped in. I only had 20% of my hull, but we made it, and we got him out alive. I was so tempted to crash into the planet on the way out, or even more when we were going in to just finish everything off. But I was like, no, I'll behave myself. It was so tempting. But I think actually of more import, with the new camera suite, I found out why the barman doesn't serve drinks. For anybody looking on stream, you look behind the bar and there's smeg all there. For anyone who's ever worked behind a bar, that area is usually full of glasses and alcohol and everything like that.
I've just noticed that barman looks like Michael Garibaldi from Babylon 5.
Well, that could be part of the problem as well.
Yeah, he was.
Hang on, that's the barman there. He doesn't look a bit like Michael Garibaldi.
No, the guy you just tilt round to the left.
Oh, him.
That guy, yeah, him. No, not him. The one propping up the bar. No.
Oh, that. Well, no. No, not him. I think Sean's needing stronger glasses.
Yeah. And I was looking inside these containers, and that's just blue and purple cellophane. So yeah, no wonder they don't serve any drinks. They haven't got any.
Well, they haven't got any glasses to serve drinks because I'm assuming.
Don't they have replicators?
Well, this isn't Star Trek.
Yeah, but we can still replicate stuff, can't we, using synthesis?
Can we?
Yeah. And do you think we managed to repair our SRVs?
Yeah, but that's 3D printing kind of tech rather than massive energy.
Well, how do you think you make oxygen? How do you think you make air then out of the material?
Or something like that. It's a chemical reaction.
You cannot make oxygen out of the ingredients to boost the life support because oxygen is an element.
Yeah. But we can make oxygen with today's things,
and we can make missiles and stuff as well, and premium ammo and all sorts of stuff. So yeah,
I don't think it's energy to matter to energy stuff or energy to matter.
Yeah, we don't have nanotechnology in this universe yet, do we?
Yeah.
Do we?
There might be nanotech, but I don't think there's energy to matter conversion.
No creation engines.
But I mean, I'm sure people could go off and make von Neumann machines and things if they so desired. And we know AI was a thing.
Well, here's the question then: if there's no drinks behind the barman, why is there even a barman and a bar there?
Well, that is a very good question. I think that is an excellent question.
It's a conspiracy.
Yeah,
it's a conspiracy now.
Yeah, all they do is serve illegal goods.
The front for the dark wheel.
Yeah, maybe.
Or the neo-Marlinists, one or the other.
Yeah, just imagine if you've been supplying the materials that have been used to actually blow people up. Oh dear.
Yep.
Doesn't sound good.
Right. I'm being serious, I have to admit, I've been loving this new camera engine.
Hang on, Ben.
Yeah.
Sorry. You look up, there are taps, like a beer.
Yes, there are beer taps, yes.
Yeah.
And
I thought that's where the drinks came from, is from these taps.
Well, it goes into a thing there, but where does it go?
Where does it go?
There.
Oh,
look.
Yeah. There.
Yeah. One says Coke. One says Budweiser. Yeah, and the other one says gin.
It's a very limited stock, isn't it?
Yeah, but you sort of, okay, fine, it goes into that arm, and then goes down there, and then it enters the worktop. Unless you're thinking that this environment caution is where all the alcohol comes out of.
Well, it does say caution.
It does say caution. But yeah, I am pretty certain this is a dry bar.
Yes. It's certainly dry for everybody except the commanders, isn't it?
Actually, if you think about it, someone at Frontier has thought, oh, look, I need to write EV caution on the plate underneath the bar just in case those crazy lot from Lave Radio happen to be spinning around looking at our bar.
Didn't someone discover something on the back of the Sidewinder by doing exactly that? They found something hidden in the back of the Sidewinder that you just didn't expect people to find, and it was in a lot of detail.
Well, I know in VR there's the cover of the old Elite manual down on the seat.
Oh, right, is there? Right, well.
Yeah. Am I right in thinking you can't move the camera around inside your ship like this, though? It's still fairly fixed.
Yeah, you have to. You can do it in VR if you got long enough cable to your headset. You can kind of walk.
Yeah, or you got
the other thing
room scale VR.
The other thing I did with VR once was in Horizons in Hollow Me. I basically maneuvered myself and recentered so I could stand face to face, and I discovered my Hollow Me character is exactly the same height as me.
Lovely.
I was looking into my eyes.
You're looking into your dead pixelated eyes.
My dead pixelated eyes. It was uncanny valley, I tell you.
Were they looking back?
Yes. They followed me around a bit like Zamina Torval's eyes. Yeah, Zamina Torval posters in the space stations. Her eyes follow you as well.
Right. Well, we'll move away from that. So, Ben did an epic rescue. Was there anything else you did?
I've been playing doing some frontline and things like that. So I've been playing this. I've been playing Star Citizen, and I did a touch of No Man's Sky and various other things. And then this week is my anniversary, but I'm not saying what I'm doing because I haven't even told the wife what I'm doing yet. So
help me make up anniversary ideas for you.
You can have some in your own head canon, Shan, and you can keep them there.
Right. Obviously, with you round Pamesh, that's going to be today's in-game activity.
Mack and have shown up as well, by the way.
Oh, cool. So basically, we've got a gang of 3 running around the station. I would join you, but judging by last week's performance, having the game running and doing the show at the same time, my internet doesn't like it.
I think we can assume that, Ching. He says, hopefully she's at least involved in Ben's anniversary plans.
Yes, she is involved in my anniversary plans.
Right. Well, let's go through what has happened this week. Well, it's actually been quite an eventful week. We had the camera site improvements come out on Wednesday, thanks to Sally. And then on Thursday, update 6 dropped, which it happened late in the afternoon, which meant that we kind of missed the... there was first the server tick, and then update 6 came out. Yes, and to say update 6 was a small patch is a bit of an understatement. It seemed to be massive. Just quickly, guys, just quickly go around. Was there any highlights in that one that jumped out at you?
You mean other than the magic AMD tech?
Well, yeah, I was going to come on to the AMD tech, but we'll sort out the AMD tech later.
It had lots of comments from Sally in the
I love that, actually.
Patch notes.
Yeah, that did make me laugh.
Fair enough.
I haven't had any crash to desktops.
I had an interesting one because I was just running from my hangar to here actually just tonight, and I had a crash to desktop.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. That. So some of the things that have been included, we've obviously got planets visuals that were improved, outfittings, options. We had obviously the camera suite workout, the AMD stuff. Enforcer troops with rockets have been added, and they use the standard rocket launcher, not any special rocket launcher. A fix has been implemented to fix the invisible rockets. Excuse me. Sorry, to fix the invisible rocks.
Hooray!
Yes, that is a godsend for me. Ship ammo and heat sink stock is no longer replenished automatically when entering Super Cruise. Bracket. Sorry. And fixed material donations for the science contact, which was involved in the CG. Obviously, updated the crash Type 9 at Highford's cache in Colonia with a scannable data point. Now, somebody said something about this Highford's cache, but I guess no one else knows about it. I mean, if someone's out there in Colonia and told us what's been happening with this scannable data point, I'd like to hear. And finally, Elite Dangerous should now exit cleanly without the black screen hang.
Great.
So that's, yeah, I was getting that a little time, but
yeah, I did see somebody saying they still had it once, but so maybe a 95% fix on that one.
Yes. The one thing that I was looking forward to for the missions was that the point of interest missions, the scavenging missions, they were supposed to be back in. Well, the points of interest were, but unfortunately, the mission was still broken. Grr. And then on top of that, yes, so Update 6 came this week, last Thursday. Obviously, on Thursday, there was the most epic rescue stream. Is that what we're going to call it now, Ben?
Oh, if you want to.
Yeah, you want us to, don't you?
No, I'm not fussed.
On Friday, they actually came up with. I must have missed this one, but there was an update about Elite Dangerous crime, fines, bounties, and notoriety. Now, I haven't, like I said, I haven't caught this one. What has anybody else? Can anyone else fill me in on it?
I don't do crimes in Elite, so no.
Right. Let's see. I think it's a clarification. With this in mind, I'd like to release this post to share a more targeted info on how Crime Works and how Crime Works as Elite Dangerous currently stands. There are those who are potentially new to the game or are used to open up additional space for further thoughts for discussions for veterans. All right, fair enough. Fines. Fines are usually assigned for smuggling, carrying around illegal firearms, loitering at space stations, and other smaller offences. They are paid off at space stations. Yep, okay, we know that. And you get anonymous docking. Bounties, however. Go on, Shan.
No, I don't think it's a change. I think it's a clarification.
It is a clarification. But I'm sure that they actually said that people have been reporting that notoriety has changed for some missions on foot. They were doing raid missions or massacre missions, and they were discovering that they had notoriety when they'd finished their mission, even though the mission wasn't deemed illegal. Anybody else heard about that?
Yeah, and I mean, basically, from what Sally was saying, if you're going off and killing people, you're killing people.
Yes.
But obviously, killing a person on foot, killing a person is not quite as serious as killing a person in a spaceship or something like that.
Because ships are obviously more valuable than people.
Well, they are in the culture.
Right, fair enough then. So this seems to be a clarification on the fines, bounties, and notoriety. Because I thought, I mean, maybe it's just a grey area. I thought if you were paid to say, right, raid a base, and the people there were all wanted, you didn't end up with any notoriety.
I thought if they're wanted, that should be okay, because that's counted as bounty hunting.
Yeah.
But I could imagine if I go around killing a bunch of people on a base on foot, then yeah, I'm being naughty.
Yeah. I did see Plater today do an assassination mission on a point of interest assassination mission. I didn't even know those were in. So, you know, that's another thing for me to try. So I'm looking forward to that. Obviously on Tuesday, we had update 6.1, which they went into a great deal of detail about the FSR stats that you can use to help boost your frame rate. This is only if you're using resolutions above 1080p, isn't it?
I think you can. It can make a 720p resolution look like a 1080, or you could be rendering 720p and get 1080, or various other things like that. Sorry, I'm just trying to take off as well.
Yeah.
I think the deal is that the more pixels you have, the better it works. And so I'm hearing good things about people that have kind of got 4K and are, rendering the game at less than that and upscaling to 4K. But I think if you're down at the 1080 end of resolution, then it doesn't work that well.
It doesn't boost your performance as much as for the upper resolutions, if you see what I mean.
So is that discrimination with people who have got 1080
No, it's
monitors? So, are they saying that people with 4K monitors are like the worthy people for getting good performance?
No, it's still called maths.
Personally, I'm trying to mess around, but actually, it gives a good reason to say if you buy a 4K monitor for Elite, you get better performance. We offered that as a top tip. Last week, and people thought we were joking.
Yes, so maybe it's time for me to upgrade my monitor. Mind you, I've got to upgrade everything. I'm now in a machine that's so far behind the times now.
Well, not anymore, because you've got this new AMD Wizzy tech.
Well, no, but I haven't got a 4K monitor, so that's not going to help, is it?
Get the 4K monitor, then use the AMD Wizzy tech.
But I don't have a 4K monitor. That's what I was saying. Anyway, I mean, the performance I'm getting at the moment is actually quite adequate. So, yeah.
I was going to say, actually, did anyone play with the AMD stuff and have anything to report?
I didn't, because obviously there's no reason to. Because
it's turned on automatically.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm afraid it's grayed out for me. It's not an option.
Yeah, I've got it grayed out.
Okay. Right, for me, when I went in, I was like, yeah, that was turned on, and I was also, my things were set straight to performance mode, which I quickly went off and changed it to, no, I want to actually see something, please.
Yeah,
I had to specifically enable it.
I think I did too.
Because basically, performance mode for me was, instead of rendering it at 4K, was rendering it at maybe 1080p or maybe 1440p, and then upscaling from there. And I mean, it looks okay, but then I went off and basically, I've changed it to ultra instead, and I've been getting very, very nice frame rate since.
Yeah, I mean, your frame rate seems to work very well at ultra, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I believe that Julian Ant did a video where he tested out the FSR stats and to see what effect it had on it.
Yes, I must admit, when looking at some of Ant's screenshots that he did, is certainly some of the same planets I've been to. They look a heck of a lot better than what I'm seeing, and he's got a lot better frame rate. But then again, what do you expect? Because his graphics card's a lot better than mine. So, but yeah, it really, I mean, to my eyes, it looks really nice. But yeah. Okay, well, moving on from there, obviously in this update that came today, they said they fixed the POI form mission, but unfortunately it does seem that not all goods can be handed in. So that one's still semi-broken, well, for some items. But, it's nice that they were able to turn around another patch so quickly.
Should they have waited until it was fixed properly, or were they right for half a fix out?
I think they didn't. They've got it working for one sort of group. I wonder whether or not they missed the test for the other sort of group. I think they missed.
Then why is the fix in there in the first place if it wasn't tested? Anyway.
Because they thought they'd fixed it, and then it turns out they hadn't.
I think this is Shan trying to get a rise.
If you're a developer, you'll know the common refrain. It works on my machine.
Yes, we know that. We know that phrase very well. Yeah. Right. So overall, let's see what everybody's reaction is to update 6. Ben, what's your impression of it?
I've just hold on. I've just observed that Edelweiss is targeted Chris Roberts in
Chris
space.
Roberts is trying to interdict Miggles.
Chris Roberts.
Chris Roberts is trying to interdict Miggles.
Not Commander Chris Roberts, just a Chris Roberts.
Chris Roberts.
NPC Chris Roberts.
Ah, right, gotcha.
It would be Derek Smart next.
God. No, Derek's
No, stop it. We do not mention his name 3 times in a row. You know what happens.
Whose name?
Exactly.
I've not had a chance to play 6.01 until this evening. And my first experience of it was it crashing on me. But
yeah, not the best.
It's been nice. Yeah, since then it seems to have been nice and fairly stable, which is always good.
Okay. Shan, have you had a chance to muck about with Update 6 yet?
I have. I mean, for me personally, it still doesn't fix the elephant in the room, but it's getting a slightly smaller elephant. Incidentally, I've just started the game up, and my FSR is on by default, and I haven't changed anything on it. So AMD FSR is on my machine by default.
Right. Well, I'll have to check mine to see whether or not that came in.
Yeah, I mean, it was all right. It was good. It was good they fixed some things, but then I never really had performance issues. It was more everything else.
Well, we'll come on to that at another point or another show, as usual. Right. Alex, have you had a...
Yeah, I have. Not today's, but I've been playing Update 6 all week. Yeah, it's a good list, actually. I mean, there's all sorts of little things that were quite nice, little quality of life fixes. There's that thing where the bioscan planet overlay, the sort of blue overlay, now stays. I think it's right till the end of Glide.
Yes.
Which is just enough to let you sort of pick a good landing spot. I always used to find that it sort of disappeared just as you were deciding where to land, whereas now it just stays long enough that you can make a better decision. And they've just sort of refined it a bit as well. So when you toggle your sort of HUD mode in and out of it, there's a nice fade. It's like.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that. I mean, it was one of the things that I noticed on when I was doing that. Earlier in the week, that when you're lining up, you sometimes toggle the exploration to combat mode so that you can kind of gauge where you're going to go.
Yeah, I think also. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think also I got a few. I think I did get a few extra frames per second. I think it's been true of the last sort of 2 or 3 updates. I think it's been creeping up.
Yeah.
Almost to the point where you think, it hasn't made any difference at all. But I definitely used to be down in the sort of 25 to 30 frames a second down on planets when there was a lot going on. And I'm now consistently 45. So actually, over the last few patches, it's definitely crept up and up, which is encouraging.
Yeah.
Has the consistency of frame rate improved?
Yes, I would say so. Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't hit any invisible rocks, which is always good.
Yes. Actually, have you noticed that there's actually seems to be a lot more rocks than before?
I don't know. I've been jumping around lots of different planets, so I haven't really checked.
Yeah. I mean, well, I've noticed a lot of rocks which I've been able to avoid, so I'm quite happy. Mack, have you had a chance to look?
Yeah, I've been playing the update 6 while exploring on Apollo 15, and it's worked for me. Yeah, the frame. I've got an old graphics card. I've got a GTX 980, but it's less stuttery and more smooth. When the frame rate's low, it's not like 45 a bit, then it's 12 frames for a second for about a quarter of a second, and up to about it's actually a bit more consistent, which makes for a lot more pleasant experience. It's not quite to the stage where I can put the VR headset back on. I mean, that's fine. It's fine in space. I can put VR on in space. There's no problem there. But and in fact, actually dropping down through Atmo in VR is absolutely breathtaking. You turn off orbit line so you don't get the yellow exclusion zone line, and just sort of fly in. You can look around as you go down. But yeah, so I've had to basically go to flat screen, but I'm not sure when that's going to change, because to be fair, the local terrain is a lot more detailed than it used to be. So yeah, there's more different textures and things. So it's putting more. It's one thing to put. It's bigger demand on my graphics card's memory, and it doesn't have a lot to start with. And eventually the price of graphics cards will come down, because I'm well overdue an upgrade now. Because I think I bought the GTX 980 around about the launch of 1.0. So I've had it for a while.
No, I mean,
I basically got David Braben's setup, GTX 980, but my motherboard's because my old motherboard died just before Christmas, so I've actually got a AMD Ryzen 9 with 32 threads. But yeah, the graphics card's kind of old.
Right, I see. Right, Commander Yanick, what's your impressions of Update 6 then?
I must admit, I've only played it a little bit since it came out. I played Odyssey quite a lot just before the launch of the Expedition and stuff. I did a lot of scouting for it, so that's my kind of comparison. I think I'm the minority. Compared to most people, it's actually kind of gone backwards for me. The frame rate has actually gotten worse, and the stuttering is generally it's getting like less than 10 frames a second on a regular basis.
Wow.
And something the way the graphics are doing this, I think it might be because my machine is kind of similar vintage to Mack's. But obviously, I probably have a different processor and what have you. But yeah, that was unexpected to me, because everyone was saying that, it was definitely in frame rate improvement. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to try it again, obviously, once the new update is actually downloaded, which is trying to download at the moment. But yeah, it's not looking so good for me, I'm afraid, because obviously I'm trying to still evaluate different terrains and stuff, and it's kind of frustrating because it's very hard to do that with such a low frame rate.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to disappoint you here, because Update 6 has yet again improved my frame rate. So I'm now, where the original update on round planets I was just barely above 30, I'm now at a very reasonable 40 to 50. It does slow down, I think, below 25 frames when I'm around a very complex outpost, but that's about it. And I'm not getting the frame drops that we were having before, where you'd be approaching a station and then all of a sudden, for no reason, the frame rate would just drop to 9 or 10 and then just pick up again. I mean, I think the consistency has improved. Is that the kind of issue that you were having to deal with, Shan?
No, my performance has been absolutely fine throughout everything. So I'm not affected. But I have seen people say, "Well, it's okay. It's really good," and then all of a sudden it will just stutter, and then you get a frame rate drop, and it's not a smooth experience because the min and max frame rates are so different.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, one of these, it happens that irregularly. I'm not that bothered about it, but you can understand that the people who have spent that much money on a 370 and they're getting that issue, they're bound to be a bit annoyed.
And I've mentioned this to Mack before in the past, so I didn't want to cut across anyone. But in some ways, like, this isn't really a DLC. It's almost like a new game, really, because it's like, still like the Elite franchise, but kind of moved on. It kind of makes sense from a coding and from a gameplay perspective if you think about it like that. Because think about all these technical problems. They've recoded large segments of the game. I mean, it depends how you want to play it, but I know I'm not the only one who sort of thought this, but it does make a lot of sense if you think about it that way.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I think everybody, if anybody disagrees with me, just stop me. But I do feel at the moment the on-foot side of things and the spaceflight things, it is like two games bolted together, but never the twain shall meet. That's why I've been so disappointed about the point of interest missions failing, because that's one of the places where there is significant overlap. It feels part of the same game.
Yeah, I'd go along with that, Colin. They are. I mean, that's part of the issue. I think that some people, including myself, have is they use the same data, but they're kind of like Velcroed together rather than knitted together.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm hoping that one of the future bullet points that they put in the dev update was that they were going to integrate the missions so that they feel more joined up, because they're going to write missions that utilize both the cockpit and the on-foot part of the games. I think that's one of the things that it really needs.
Sure.
But anyway, I think we'll move on to what the in-game events which have been happening this week. Well, we've actually had quite an interesting week in the storyline. Obviously, last Thursday, the NMLA have actually attacked their own Marlinist spaceports, because apparently they consider them now to be traitors to the cause. So those of you who want to do a bit of station rescuing, there are systems burning right now, mostly in Stillman Hub in HIP 22550 and Tillman Point in Hades Sector R0-P B6-6. They urgently require ships to evacuate people trapped on those starports. There was a bug saying that one of the rescue ships was missing. It was actually inside a planet. They have moved it to the right place now. Shan?
I was just wondering, could this not be a false flag operation?
Well, this is the thing, because has anybody actually claimed? I'm just looking through the stuff here. There doesn't seem to be people claiming responsibility for it. Even the NMLA propaganda channels saying, "Why would we kill their own people?"
So I reckon it's false flag. I reckon they're doing what the Nazis did in World War II and dressed soldiers up as Polish soldiers and got them to invade Germany to trigger trouble.
I'm a little bit confused about that one, because that analogy doesn't work, because some Marlinists have just bombed their own systems. Because actually, no, I've got this wrong. The following message was broadcast via the NMLA propaganda channel. Why are they bombing their own homes? Why would Theta 7 kill its own people? Because they're not our homes, they're not our people. These are prisons, not colonies, where traitors to the cause beg for scraps from those who exile them. True Marlinists would never stop fighting until the Republic of Achenar is restored. So that's from the official NMLA propaganda wing. So it doesn't seem like a false flag to me. But
unless that's what they want you to think.
And Shan's handing out the tinfoil hats again. Also, the Far God megaship cult has actually concluded they managed to get enough resources together for 3 megaships. And 2 of which will soon embark on a holy pilgrimage with thousands of faithful worshippers into the void to commune with the far god. So basically that's lots of free lunches for the Thargoids, isn't it?
So do you think a megaship is more expensive than a carrier?
Probably.
Just slightly, I would have thought.
They have to be within the same kind of range. I mean, they're roughly. In fact, I think carriers are better than megaships. They have a lot better landing pads. I mean, whenever you've done those rescues and you're doing it in a large ship, there's always some buggeroo sitting on the only large pad, hogging it.
Yeah. On the 30th of July, the new, here we go, Cuemba Labour, which controls 5 systems, has now triggered a second wave of successions by severing ties with the Federation. Again, they're using the same thing about leaving the Federation because of the surveillance system that they've implemented. The Federation, however, are not happy about this, and we can expect a response quite soon. Obviously, in the second...
I don't know about you, Colin, but I'd have thought they'd have seen that coming.
Yeah, I thought so too, especially with the surveillance system. Never mind. The NMLA attacks today was confirmed that they'd lost 35,000 civilians, and twice as many had suffered from injuries. And included that, their first minister, Jenna Fairfax, has now been confirmed dead, and Minister Amrita Ross has temporarily assumed leadership. However, they are not giving in to the Theta group, and they are asking for help from both the superpowers, both the Federation and the Empire. And finally, the news that was released on the 3rd of August, 3307, is the superpowers have responded to new Onion Head, to the new Onion Head that came out with the thing from the Kumo crew. The Alliance, Federation, and Empire have clarified their official positions regarding the emergence of Onion Head, which is Federation, no, we're going to ban it, Empire's going to ban it, and the Alliance say, well, it's up to our individual systems, so if they ban it, it's banned.
Well, too right, it should be banned. It's a cheap knockoff of the East India Company's official products.
Says their official spokesman.
Yes, I mean, we produce on Capricornasis, and well, if you're buying the cheap knockoff, I mean, you get what you deserve what you get, really.
So is that the onion head that AliExpress would sell you?
Yeah, it's the fake onion head that many Amazon sellers would sell you, or off eBay or something.
Right.
So it would be like the Oni N head rather than the onion.
Yes.
In other news, Operation Ida, they are still working on Malthus Terminal and Pleiades Sector HR-W, D1-41. They are still, they've got a few items left to go, but apart from that, that system is almost clear. So that's going to be that. Commander Ventura, could you please play the music for the thing of the week?
Store alert!
In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. A store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert. Which one will you buy? A store alert, a store alert, a store alert.
Right. Well, we've got 3 items to actually look at today. No one expects the Manticore Inquisition. Basically, the Manticore plasma shotgun is getting a couple of stylings, which seems to change color as you walk around. There is the Plainsman Peacemaker style suit upgrade, which basically makes you, if you want to look like a cowboy in a spacesuit, that's really what you want. And of course, we've now got the Predator Type 6, which the Type 6 being a Predator.
I was about to say the Type 6 Predator paint job in orange. Rip off of Lavecon skin.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Yes, it does seem a little odd, that one, doesn't it?
You should sue them.
Interior knockoff.
To be fair, the Predator skin has been around for a while, but I agree. You know, it's no Lavecon skin.
It's no Lavecon skin, no. But then again, we might be biased.
So is it the Amazon trader or eBay Lavecon skin?
Pretty similar, I suppose. Right. I think we will take a short ad break, and we'll be back with our main discussion after after these messages.
I spend so much time in my Imperial Trader. I find it really hard to meet people.
I mean, when do you get the time to go to bars when you're taking on courier jobs for the military?
But with VenusDating.com, it was so simple. I just put in my personal details and they found me my perfect match.
I really thought it would be difficult, but Venus Dating made it so simple, with so much in common.
We both like movies, walking along the beach at sunset,
browsing Imperial shipyards.
And of course, since we started dating, we've discovered that we both really love shooting Thargoids. Let your voyage begin with VenusDating.com for every first encounter.
Choose life, choose a ship, choose a career, choose a cargo, choose a fucking big ship, choose palladium, gold and electrical tin openers. Choose good health, low cholesterol and ship insurance, choose fixed interest loan repayments, choose a space station, choose your friends. Choose leisure wear and matching luggage, choose a paint job and hire purchase in a range of fucking colours. Choose decals, exploration and wondering where the f*** you are on a Sunday morning. Choose sitting in that chair, running mind-numbing, spirit-crushing trade routes, stuffing f***ing junk food in your mouth. And choose rotting away at the end of it all, pissing your last in the void with no one out there to hear you bury or do anything as you drift away in cold space. Until some comes along to steal your ship, your cargo and your clothes, leaving your bones floating out in space. Choose your future. Choose life. But why would I want to do a thing like that? I choose not to choose life. I chose something else. And the reasons? There are no reasons. Who needs reasons when you've got onion head?
This is a public service announcement from the Fuel Rats.
please stop what you're doing and pay attention. If we can rescue you, we will, but you can help us help you by following these easy steps. 1. Fly 50 light seconds or so from the system's main star and drop out of supercruise. 2. Note down the current system and the nearest stellar body. 3. If you're on emergency life support, log out immediately. 4. Go to fuelrats.org and click Get Help. 5. Stay calm, hold your breath, and let our seasoned professionals do what they do best. The Fuel Rats. We have fuel, you don't. Any questions?
How long have we got, by the way?
Just now. We're going to have to cut that out. Yeah. And that. Oh, and this. But never mind. Welcome back. We have one of the reasons we've got everybody on today is because we want to have a discussion about the new planetary tech that is in Odyssey. Obviously, Update 6 did upgrade a lot of the planetary artwork, but the main issue that a lot of people have is that it just doesn't seem to match the randomness of Horizons. So Ben, you are in one of our favorite places in Odyssey, aren't you?
Certainly, it used to be Alec's favorite place. I don't know if it still is. I'm in Alec. I'm in Pomesh. I'm over Pomesh 3C at the moment, and it's changed. I know it's changed since Odyssey was also released, but I think I'll leave people who are wiser on these ways to say things. But my initial takes on it were, it used to be that you could just show up on Pomesh and think, hey, that looks like fun, I'll wheel around there for a bit. And I'm just flying over, and it's okay, there's a wide canyon, and there's a wide canyon, and there's a short wide canyon. And one of the things that I loved about the old Pomesh was you would go down into the canyons, and then you'd enter this cloud layer, wouldn't you? And then you had maybe 3 kilometers of clouds before you actually hit rock bottom. And that was absolutely terrifying. And I don't know what it is now. Maybe the white areas of the planets are meant to have that cloud tech implemented, and it just isn't. I don't know.
What's the atmosphere stats? What sort of type of atmosphere is it? Is it likely to have clouds, or is it?
Let's have a look at the science. I need to come out of debug cam and not crush into the ground. That would be a benefit as well.
That would be handy if you don't crash into the ground. Yes.
No, that'd be funny.
Good for the stream.
Good for the stream. That is true. Okay, rocky, icy worlds typically found in cooler regions of the star system. These worlds have metal core, thick rocky mantle. So surface temp minus 73K to minus 142, so below freezing. Very below freezing. And that's really not very good, is it? I try to mouse wheel up and down to get to the bottom, and then I zoom in and out the map. Sorry. That's annoying. That's all. How do I see the okay, no atmosphere. Yeah. I should have known it's a no atmosphere world. It's from Horizons.
Yeah.
Stupid.
But it still had mist. Quite a lot of the Horizons planets had mist.
They did.
Yeah.
So, is the mist the mist has now gone properly?
The mist has gone. But I would have thought there should at least still be water vapor or something like mist where the icy areas are, is what I'd have expected, yeah?
Yeah, maybe.
Especially in the canyons where it doesn't all evaporate off.
I might as well chip in on this. Here's the thing that's odd about Pomesh. So when the Odyssey Planet Tech dropped. Obviously, with completely new algorithms and software for generating planet surfaces, every planet changed completely. So mountains were gone. Where there were plains, there were rocky areas. Everything changed. So in a sense, if you accept that, we shouldn't be surprised that Pamesh has changed. And actually, what is surprising is that it's similar. And I think Frontier have, and I'm intrigued about the reasons for this as well, but I think Frontier have artificially tried to make Odyssey Pamesh be like Horizons Pamesh. So I think there was even something about it in one of the early patch notes. So I think they have injected artificial numbers into the procedural generation for it to try and boost its canyons. I suspect they've also artificially colored it differently from what the Odyssey game engine would color it. We saw that in the most recent change. These colors are sort of closer to reality. But my sort of gut feeling, and it's only a gut feeling because I don't really know how this software works, is that they're trying to force it to be like old Pamesh, when really the Beyond tech doesn't want it to be anything like Pamesh. And I think they're onto a losing battle, really. I sort of don't know why they're doing it. There's only two really good reasons to try and make Pamesh be like old Pamesh. Well, three maybe. One is that there's a dirty great tourist beacon on it saying, "Look at this awesome mountain," which is a bit embarrassing if there isn't an awesome mountain there. Two, they've got hollow ads in all the stations going, "Visit the awesome mountains of Pamesh," which is a bit embarrassing if there aren't any awesome mountains of Pamesh. And three, they're obviously trying to appease the community who've have grown very fond of Pamesh. But to me, that's a bit of an odd one because there are thousands of discoveries that people like the Galactic Mapping Project have mapped and catalogued, and that Frontier happily threw in the bin to give us Beyond. They happily wiped the slate clean with every other planet. So I almost wish they wouldn't fight so hard to try and keep Pamesh, because I think it's a losing battle. What do others think?
Well, you see, and this is one of the issue that I have with the planetary tech at the moment is that the Horizons planets I didn't really land on.
Right.
So there was no reason to really go down there. So I haven't missed it.
Yeah.
I mean, on the new planets, I've got a reason to go down. I've got reason to scan. The reason I didn't go down on the old planets is because, well, there wasn't that much to do on them. There was basically scan. You did missions and you got rocks. And
so you went for the materials. You went to get materials. Yeah.
And basically, I wasn't into really searching through the geography. I mean, when I did my first attempt to run it at Colonia, I must admit, I did get quite bored because it did seem very samey after a while. The difference on this run is because, and I'm going to say this with the best will in the world, I'm not landing on the old Horizon planets. I'm only landing on the brand new planets. So I've got nothing to compare them with. And I must admit, the new planets, the atmospheric planets, are so much better than I remember the Horizon ones to be.
Yeah, they're different. They're absolutely different. And in many ways, it's hard to argue that they look better. Obviously, the lighting and the sunrises and things look beautiful. My big issue, and I think Mack maybe touched on it, is the sort of the topography. If you ignore all the scatterots and you ignore the blue skies and you ignore the lighting and you just look at the shape and form of say a whole planet and its canyons, in Horizons that was mathematically generated.
Yeah,
and I'd have to say I think it was a work of genius. The programming of that was a work of genius, because there was like, I know you say it was samey, but there was kind of infinite variety in the landscape. I don't remember ever encountering any repetition, and it was pointed out to me this is a very niche thing that I'd like to do. You know, I've circumnavigated 4 planets and driven over a quarter of a light second in the SRV, because to me it's a bit like skiing or something. I like seeing, you know, you sort of look at the landscape ahead and maybe there's a canyon, and I like thinking, well, I wonder where that will take me. And you go into the canyon, and then maybe you come out, and on the horizon there'll be a peak, and you think, oh, I'll head for the peak. And I was endlessly drawn onwards to see what was over the next horizon or over the next mountain. And funnily enough, the sameness that you describe, that's what I see in Odyssey. There's almost no point doing that, because I know what's over the next horizon. It's more of the bloody same. It's more of the scatter rock texture, and it's more of the sort of pseudo canyons. And so for me, the joy of exploring these planets has gone, because there was something very organic about the Horizons algorithm that I think has been lost. But on the other hand, that's a very niche activity, as was pointed out to me. And, you know, for a short visit, if somebody comes down to do it a bioscanning, they look beautiful. I can't deny that.
Okay, Shan.
Yeah, I mean, I visited Pomesh a while ago, and a bit like you, Colin, and unless a planet looked interesting from colour, I usually wouldn't give it any thought at all. But then again, I think it's a shame the topography of the planet has changed from something Slarty Bartfast would get an award for into something that he would have learned at primary school. Part of me thinks like also the thing that Max said about visit to Pomesh for the terrains and stuff like that. The simple fix for that is just to remove all adverts from Pomesh and just leave it as just another planet. Just take the easy way out and remove all the adverts, and then it'll just fade away, won't it? But yeah, I don't know. I get what Colin's saying about some planets look really interesting and enticing, but then again, when you fly over them, I don't know. They don't look as that variety. It just looks copy paste for the terrain.
You see, this is the thing that I've. Then your eyes must be a lot better than mine, because I can't see these patterns. I mean, I've been in. Yeah, you can see. I have seen patterns repeated from a distance, but every time I've gone down on one of these planets, I haven't thought, "Oh, this looks familiar."
Yeah, it is from a certain distance. You're right. That it's one of those things as well that you should almost count yourself fortunate, I think, because it's one of those things that sadly, once you start to notice it, it's very hard to stop noticing it.
Well, this is exactly it, isn't it? Once you've seen it, you can't really put it out of your mind after that. You just think that this is just the same section repeated over and over, and it starts to take away a lot of the magic, because no one would deny for a second that the Odyssey planets, especially the atmospheric ones, are beautiful. But it seems to be like a very superficial level of beauty, because you say it's like, if the sun is not at sunset, when they have the beautiful sunset, and it's, let's say, overhead or any other angle, a lot of the surfaces don't look quite so amazing anymore. And it is Mack and Alec just pointed out, the topography issue as well is a massive, massive deal for both explorers, hooners, racers, and all kinds of other communities. And I know Alex described, obviously, like, hooners and racers being like a minority thing. Explorers are not a minority. By Frontier's own audience survey that a few years back, explorers actually are the biggest single group, bigger than PvP or anybody else in the game. And then, I admit it's probably like the fairly serious, the hardcore ones, that group, who are going to be the most sort of upset about changes. I mean, I don't know. This is the thing with Odyssey Tech. I don't know how much it can be changed, because we obviously don't know the inner workings of this. And yeah, it would be a shame to lose all these Horizons of planets as well. It would be, one solution could be to keep both sets going, but obviously that require more servers to do that. And obviously none of us have an inside line to this, but is there a solution possible for these Odyssey planets? Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I don't know. But yeah, as Alex alluded to, it's throwing out a lot of these sort of worlds that we found that are kind of amazing and unique. I think that's the key part. It's finding something that's truly unique. Yeah, not every Horizons planet was unique. Some of them were they technically were unique, but they wouldn't be like spectacular in any way. But it's that sense of that sort of precious thing that you find like one of 1,000 planets. That if Odyssey continues this way, that will be lost. And that's very sad. And that's why a lot of people, are kind of quite upset by that. And it is surprising that Frontier would make a decision to that, unless it is actually genuinely a bug and it wasn't supposed to be that way, that the whole process came out wrong or something. But this is the thing, we don't really know because they've not really actually explained in detail about this so far. But I think we'd all love to know one way or the other,
Could one of the reasons for it be if the terrain is too crevassy or bumpy or whatever it is, it would then affect the ability of players to go on foot or use the SRV in different ways? You sort of maybe they smoothed it out because of the on foot mechanic, and they had to make more places reachable on foot. Maybe I don't know. Guessing, really.
Potentially, yeah. But the thing is, at the moment, as I said, I did a recent sort of test for instancing at the new Pamesh in Odyssey, and a lot of the places aren't actually accessible by either SRV and foot anyway. So even if that was their intended aim, it's not quite worked out that way. Okay, maybe you could drop somebody vertically onto it from a ship, but there are some places that still aren't accessible. So but this is the thing. This is what I think one of the most frustrating elements is, that Frontier has improved its comms in some areas to do with some issues. But with this one, about the topography issue, if you want to call it that, they're pretty much silent. They've mentioned like one sentence so far out of all the updates that I've seen. And yeah, it is a bit frustrating.
Alec?
I was just going to say that, yeah, I'm really intrigued as to why they must have had a really good reason as to why Frontier threw out the old Planet Tech. Because firstly, we must remember that the thin atmospheric planets that Odyssey brought, we couldn't land on those before. So there was no issue about how do we make the Horizons planets look like this, because they don't. The Horizons planets don't have an atmosphere, and the Odyssey ones do. So they're new. So that wasn't an issue. And even if even if they wanted, even if they had to continue using the Horizons algorithm to generate the topography of the thin atmospheric planets, I still don't really see why they couldn't. I'm trivializing it massively here, but why they couldn't just put a blue sky and pretty lighting, but continue to use the Horizons algorithm to generate the topography, because the cost was huge, and Frontier knows this. The cost of throwing every single planetary POI away. If you've got a spreadsheet somewhere with your favorite canyons, I'm sorry, they've all gone. They've all gone. It's a complete wipe. And I think it was also very costly in terms of sort of manpower and processing and upheaval for Frontier too. That they went through this process called rebaking, where they basically had to work out where every single settlement and planetary port could sit. They had to look for flat areas to place them on. I think that was a hugely intensive process. I think Dav Stott spoke about it, and I have, had conversations with devs about very short ones. I'm not privy to very much information on this at all, but brief conversations where I get the sense that doing another rebake is highly unlikely. It would take a lot, I think, to make Frontier get to the point where they decide they need to do that. And what that means is, for example, with the repeating terrain that people are seeing, to fix that, they would have to do a rebake, because the shape of the surface would change, and then they would need to rebake to find out. So it's a big deal, I think. Yeah, was that what I was going to say? I think that's what I was going to say.
I've got a question for Alec.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So the atmospheric effects.
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking they are based on the makeup of the atmosphere? So it's not just like a blue sky because it's daylight or anything like that. It's so when they bake the planet, they have to take into account what the atmosphere type is.
No, I don't think so. I mean, the baking process that Dav described, I've never heard this phrase before, but it's really about finding flat areas to place things on.
No, I was thinking about the effect. What I was thinking about is because you said, why couldn't they just put a different sky around the existing terrain?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, because from what they said at Horizons, a lot of the planetary features were based on plate tectonics and gravity and age of the planet and all good stuff like that. So I'm wondering, when they applied the atmosphere mechanics to it, that's just how it turned out. A bit like changing the seed in a Minecraft map. That's just what it comes out like.
I think one thing which somebody did point out, and I think Kay Ross did go into this on her talk after Beyond launched about it. I think obviously with the old Horizons algorithm, because it is purely mathematical, it's I think it was probably quite hard to sculpt in deliberate ways. You imagine, if anyone's familiar with something like a sort of Mandelbrot fractal, if you suddenly decide you want a slightly different shape, you're sort of out of luck. You can't craft it. It produces what it produces. And I think Kay Ross sort of alluded to the fact that it was also groundwork for the future. So, for example, if they want to have, this was pointed out to me on the forum last week, I forget who, I'm sorry, that if they wanted to have riverbeds or lakes or things in a future update, that the old Horizons algorithm would be incapable of, it'd be really hard to add those features. Whereas I think the new tech maybe allows them to add features. So perhaps that's the reason. Perhaps it's just the first step.
Yeah, I think part of the reason for the hand-coded height maps is it also enables them in some future update to do solar system bodies, which are well known, like the moon, because you can't land on the moon at the moment because it's
good point.
It's like one of the 1.0 planets. It's just a texture on a sphere, effectively, or a cube, or however it's built. I think Dr. Ross had a talk about how that's built. But being able to put the height maps, the hand-coded height maps in, means you can feasibly do things like the moon now. You can get a good height map of the moon, and people won't whine, well, it's not the Apollo landing site isn't exactly like the Apollo landing site, and things like that. And people can do that spectacular Apollo 15 approach over the mountain and all that good stuff. But the downside of it, as we all know, is there are billions of planets, but only a handful of Slarty Barfasts. So the thing I noticed while exploring in Odyssey wasn't so much repeating textures. The repeating features are really obvious on certain planets when you fire probes at it and you get the heat map. That's when it really sticks out. But the other thing I found was this weird feeling of deja vu when I went to some systems, because you'd approach the planet and you think, this looks a bit familiar. You know what I mean? On the plus side, I've noticed that Odyssey planets, for instance, we had before the A15X started, we had some EIC stuff going on. I parked my carrier somewhere, and I realised that the planet it was orbiting was now recognisable, like we recognise the Earth from space. It was very much less anonymous. But on the other hand, you get there's like this Italy-shaped set of mountains in one of the height maps. It's it's got the little 2-bit bifurcates at the end, so it looks a bit like sort of vaguely Italy shaped. And I keep noticing this on different planets, like 1,000 light years apart. And this is what I mean about the uncomfortable sense of deja vu. When you're on the ground, it looks really... and I've been deliberately avoiding sunsets and sunrises. I've been trying to land during the midday sun to get a more representative idea of, not just going for the obvious pretty shots. And on the ground, often it still looks breathtaking, but the problem is once you're above, because of course on the ground as well, as I think Dr. Ross mentioned, there was you've got the big features are these basically handmade height maps, but you've got local procedurally generated terrain as well. So when you're actually on the ground and walking around or whatever, you don't get that sense of deja vu. But once you're up about 2 or 3 kilometers, then it starts to become, if you see what I mean, it starts to become more obvious. So 2 or 3 kilometers up to the approach to the planet, when it starts getting big enough in your forward view, you can actually start recognizing features. And that was the contrast when we went to the meetups with Horizons, is that the topography didn't have that. You didn't get that weird sense of deja vu with the topography on Horizons, and also the topography once you're like 3,000 meters and up looked more convincing, if you see what I mean. But once you're on the ground and on foot, then Odyssey looked brilliant. That was my assessment, anyway.
So Mac, if I remember rightly, when Horizons first launched, the planets were even more dramatic terrain-wise. That's right, isn't it? There was like some huge spires and canyons.
They had some really weird things going on, and they had there was some obvious bugs. Like there was a planet with a giant cube on it. I seem to remember, because we tried to have a meet there. We tried to have a meet on the top of this cube, but obviously it was doing things that it shouldn't. It was causing. It basically caused crash to desktops when we tried to instance there.
So what did they do then to smooth them out? And because what my thought is, if they could smooth the stuff out from weird Horizons to normal Horizons, is there a way they could almost do the same in reverse almost?
Yeah, sort of roughen it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Can I jump in here? The main thing that I see that everybody has a problem with is the fact of these repeated patterns. And now correct me if I'm wrong about how this technology now works, is that there is a set amount of patterns which are basically put onto the planets, which depend on the I can't remember the exact phrase that Kay used. There was 7 or 8 different strata or something like that, where they say, this planet is mostly a metal planet, so that means we can use this tile pattern or something and put that on that planet and then bake it up to look slightly different. Is that what the
geomes, I think the word
geomes? Yeah, that was the phrase that they used. So basically, if you end up with a planet that has only got 1 or 2 geomes attached to it, there isn't enough patterns in the background for it to make it unique, so you see the repeated patterns.
Interesting.
Is that the kind of thing? Does that sound right to you guys?
Yeah, it could be. It could be that it just doesn't have a big enough library of forms to choose from.
Yeah, it seems spectacularly limited. I mean, even if you were to try and build a terrain system around just tiles, there's very few of them. I mean, surprisingly few. I mean, one that you can sort of see, like one called, I think, the Chinese dragon, that most people probably are aware of by now, that just repeats most planets, and it's a bit sad, really.
You really notice it if you probe a planet and you want the heat maps on these things, they really stick out then.
But then presumably you would need an absolute ton of different patterns to fool the mind.
Yes, and I think this is where the challenge probably lies. Now, I suspect what they're probably thinking of is, because they said it was going to be, we're thinking of it, and it's going to be a big challenge, because this is of course an architectural decision. It's not something they can easily. It's not something it's actually the very bedrock of the system. So it's not. It's going to be difficult. I suspect what they're probably thinking of, and this is just a wild guess really, is that perhaps we can use the hand-coded stuff where we want a particular feature. So, for instance, where a starport, the baking process of putting starports. So we'll use this height map here because we've got a starport here, and we don't want it to be half on and half off a mountain. But like, just once you're outside the bubble, you could, during the hyperspace jump, which is when as I understand it, a lot of the procedural generation actually happens. You can sort of procedurally generate a bunch of height maps for the planet. So you generate the tiles on the fly, as it were. I mean, you're still using the same base system, but now instead of using the hand-coded ones, you use ones you generated on the fly.
So Tweak74 in chat's asked an interesting question: is why would they choose such a limited set of patterns? Did they think they'd, not in quotes, get away with it? Do you think people wouldn't notice, or
probably
did they run out of time or something? I don't know.
Probably yes. They probably think, well, we'll make a few thousand patterns. That ought to be enough. But the trouble is the human brain is basically optimized massively for pattern matching. And I mean, think of, for instance, the Chinese writing system, the Chinese character set. How many different glyphs do they have? And yet people still manage to learn to write this language. So tens of thousands of these patterns isn't enough. You need literally millions before people stop noticing.
So given that would be impossible to put into a game,
you're going to have to do it dynamically. You're going to have to use. You'll probably use pre-baked patterns where you need where you need a specific feature. So you've got a starport somewhere and you need the terrain to be this shape, or you're doing the moon, so it has to look like the moon, or whatever. But everywhere else, you're going to have to really just generate them on the fly, just like Horizons did effectively with its topography.
So devil's advocate question, given that there's 1,001 other things they need to fix, do you think this will ever get sufficient priority to be fixed in the way that people won't see the patterns, or they'll get the canyons back, or will they sort of say, well, actually, good enough is good enough, and it looks all right for the majority of people, so therefore we will just say, we've had a go, it's a bit better, but we just haven't got the resources to...
Well, I'm not sure it is, because if you look at it, it's one of the top 5 hot issues. So obviously, it's getting a lot of traction, more than a lot of other issues. I mean, there's the obvious, things like frame rate issues and what have you. But this is one. They did actually say that it was one of the top 5 issues currently in the issue tracker. So I think it is getting their attention, but I would imagine it's not going to be a fix that we're going to see anytime soon, because of the comments they made on Dev Update, when was it, about a month ago or so now, saying that it's going to need a lot of round to it, basically.
Yeah.
It's not quite the moon on a stick, but it's a lot of round to it.
I mean, it's one of these things which I feel that if they are going to improve the tile set, if you like, I mean, we had this problem with No Man's Sky, because after a while, a lot of the planets, not actually the planets, but a lot of the plants and a lot of the animals started to look the same, because basically this was the same issue. They used procedural generation to create those animals and create those plants, but they hadn't provided the engine with enough variety to fool the human eye. Now, it took No Man's Sky 2 to 3 years to put enough information, put enough variety in to make it, to at least stop you noticing a lot of the stuff, even though technically it is. I mean, would people be willing to wait that long for the planetary system to be enhanced?
Do you think the game has got that long to wait?
I was going to say, if they keep Horizons going, they might stand a chance to be able to buy that time. If they stop Horizons, and because obviously the Odyssey system is going to get ported into Horizons sooner or later, if that happens, they'll run out of time and probably community patience as well, I suspect. I hate to be pessimistic, but that's probably what would happen. If they keep both systems going, they have a fighting chance, I think.
I think you're right. I think it's a good point. I think as long as Horizons is around, then there's still, I don't know what percentage of the community, let's say 50, I don't know, percent of the community that's still inhabiting that old world with the Horizons planets, where the things like the Pamesh Ridge Challenge, or just pick features that you like, Mount Everest, where those things still exist. Once they kind of cease to exist and Odyssey becomes the absolute new truth of the planets are, I feel like they'll be more reluctant to start again. At the moment, people still talk about Odyssey being a kind of beta, and if you view it like that, it's until console launch and until Horizons is sort of gone, there's still a chance to say we're going to do another rebake. We fixed it. We've added 1,000 more textures, or we found a new way of tiling the textures so that they don't. And we're gonna hit rebake for the big console launch. I guess that would be my biggest hope.
Yeah. Banging Beer in the comment, in the chat, has put in an interesting point. He sort of says, I think people do not understand the costs involved with a project like this. ED is a one-off payment, so the budget is very small, and they can't deliver half the things they say, as they do not have the time to pay the developers to do it. They need to change their business model so they can do what they say. Effectively, he's saying, right, they've run out of money, and this is all we're getting.
It's possible.
I don't think they'll run out of money. I think they'll run out of budget.
Yeah, run out of budget. Banging Beer, if I've got that wrong, please tell me in the chat. Yeah, so they've said they've identified. Have they said they've identified pathways for this, or?
Yeah, they did. There was just a point on the number of preformed surface shapes in their library, and how many is enough. I did just have this thought. I don't know if anyone's played Carcassonne or any of these sort of tabletop games where you essentially build maps from tiles. But I could be wrong, but I was sort of thinking, when you look down at a finished Carcassonne map, so each tile, you have a tile that's a crossroads, and a tile that's got a little corner of a lake, and a tile that's got a twist, a bend in the road or something, and then you build up a map. And at the end of the game, you end up with a pretty unique looking thing. So I wonder if the solution is to not have more components, but to find a way of carving your components up into tiles that will tessellate into, I don't know.
I think some other fixes are going to be like, I think, and others have mentioned this, is like proximity exclusions. Like, if you've got this tile, then don't use it again in this orientation or size within certain amounts of distance.
Yeah, there are definitely solutions. I guess that is the key question. Is is there a will and is there a budget to do it?
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing that that is the big question, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean there are plenty of other people, like I was saying earlier about planetary circumnavigation being a bit of a niche thing. I'm sure there are plenty more people that will be listening to this program and going, God, no, don't waste the money on that. Spend it on ship interiors. Maybe that's a fair point. I don't know.
Yeah.
If they said to you, sorry, quick question, sorry for jumping in. If they said to you, we need to use this tech to enable walking on planets with a denser atmosphere, or even, vegetation planets, that we need to use this tech because it's the only way it works, would you think it's acceptable, leaving things as they are, so that we get a bigger variety of atmospheres and planets to walk around on, or would you want them not to bother and keep what they have?
They'd have to improve it, definitely.
I mean, I think that because of what Kay said, we essentially have to accept that ultimately we're going to have to roll forward from ED Odyssey and the current planetary tech. I don't think... It sounds like there's stuff in the current tech that the Horizon stuff just could not do, and that is needed for the future. So I think we just have to accept this is what we got. And maybe what Alex said, it was like, this is what they generated. Throw out the old dishes. We have to accept this is the new.
Certainly with Pamesh, I mean that's an argument specific to Pamesh. I think that's a different case.
Why not for everywhere? If the new planets are scientifically more accurate,
I'm not sure they are.
Well, that's a question. I mean, I agree with you about we need the texture and the wrapping of all the different all the recognizable features. That definitely needs to be fixed.
Just another question for people to think about is
last question then.
Okay, are we letting the perfect be the enemy of the good?
No. I don't think anyone thought Horizons was ever perfect.
No.
More fun, arguably.
Well, yeah.
I think also.
That's very subjective. I think.
Yeah.
Because I didn't find the
part of the
Horizons planets fun at all.
Yeah. Okay, I'll rephrase. The terrains were more interesting.
I think we've got very used to them, and that's a big part of the problem. Is where we've got very used to one thing, and we don't like it changing. If we had never seen Horizons planets, if we'd been presented with Odyssey planets, I think we would be absolutely overjoyed. If maybe the solution is to just do a blue flashy thing, memory wipe, and make us all forget Horizons, and then we'd all be happy. Problem solved.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I've got the phone number for the Men in Black, so I'm afraid we can't.
Just use a cricket bat.
Yes, and reply depletingly until you've got the result you want. Okay, I think we're going to have to bring this section to an end. Hopefully, in conclusion, that they can add more variety to the present planets. I'm hoping I'm all right, because basically my voice meter just dropped there. I hope it didn't drop out. So, yeah, it is one of the most important parts of Elite Dangerous is the planets we go to, and I guess it's something that they'll have to look at again. So. Moving on to our community corner, we have not much this week. For those of you who like a bit of Thargoid hunting, the AXI have found a new way to scan for Thargoids. It turns out that the DSS scanner, the FSS scanner, has 3 sections in it, which can be split off into scouts only, Thargoid main ships with scouts, and big Thargoid interceptors only. So there is more details in the on the AXI webpage, which we will supply a list. But apparently, it is faster to use this method than go all the way to a nav beacon, scan the beacon, and seeing where all the unidentified signal sources are. So yes, some tips from the AXI. Our mostly clueless tip this week comes from Mr. Tia Time. I hope I've pronounced that right.
Tea time.
Hang on, I thought he didn't like being called that. Isn't it the Terry Pratchett way of pronouncing it? I thought that was different.
Anyway, him,
yes. He says that you can drop out anywhere in Super Cruise between stars and planets and log out and log back in again. There is no need to always dock up. You just need to slow down to under 100 kilometers a second. So, there.
That's also a very good tip if you want to go AFK. Because once you drop out of the Super Cruise, you cannot be interdicted or got because whereas if you're in the Super Cruise, you can be interdicted or otherwise. So if you
unless
need
somebody
AFK,
drops on your low wake, in which case you are dead.
Well, yeah, but you should be looking behind you for square blobs anyway. So if that happens to you, it's your own.
Yeah, but if you walked away and you're making a cup of tea, you're not exactly going to be able to.
How long? Right, how long does the low wake actually stay on the screen in the instance for?
A good few minutes, I think, isn't it? I mean, I have to admit, if I'm going AFK and I'm in Super Cruise, what I'll usually do, it depends where I'm going, but I'll usually point up out of the system plane, and then I'll just accelerate and just work on the assumption that I'm accelerating off and nobody's going to catch me.
Then you just end up tens of thousands of light seconds away from where you're going. I just don't see the.
Yeah, but if I was going to do a hyperspace jump to the next system, I don't really care, do I?
I just don't see
It just depends what I'm doing.
Check behind you. If there's no square blobs, you just drop out of the Super Cruise and you. Yeah.
Right. Well, we'll leave that. Of course, I've got a sneaking suspicion that Shan will be now stalking Ben for the next time he drops out of Super Cruise, but that might be an inaccurate insinuation.
It is. I'm good. Last week I proved how good I am, but in the fact that my carrier got you there and back without any issues at all.
Really? No issues at all? No, you had to have a quick, I'll just jump over to the next system and make them feel that they've been abandoned. Ha 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 ha.
My parking was up in that system. I had to move it.
Yes, of course. And everything you say, Shan. Yeah. Unfortunately, because we don't have Psykit with us tonight, those of you who are waiting for the Smutty challenge...
We could always do a round robin, Colin. So I'll start. There was a young lady from Venus.
No.
Go on. There was a young lady from Venus.
And
Don't make me do the second line. You don't want that.
I am.
A rocket was shaped like a penis.
Oh, Jesus.
Come on, next.
Where's the mute button?
It's a PG stream.
I think we need Psykit for these because it doesn't. They aren't read in the classic Psykit way. So
no, they don't.
I'd be very worried if I could read it like Psykit.
Well, you can try.
No, please. Oh, this is just no because you don't want Ben saying this kind of thing. You'll get arrested. It's taken out of context. Right. Anyway,
I can try. I mean, so what we got? So all right. There was a young lady from Venus.
Oh, no.
Her rocket was shaped like a penis. She got very hot. I gave her a shot. I do hope that nobody's seen us.
Any complaints to laveradio.com or info@laveradio.com. We do apologise if anybody was listening in the car with their kids in the back at that appropriate moment.
Is that the only limerick you know, Ben? Because you tried to say it 3 times.
I think it's his favourite.
Do you really want more?
No. Right. Any other business apart from Shush Ben?
There was a commander called Shan.
Oh, right.
You had a very uneven tan.
He turned left and right. He gave us a fright.
And now we've all had a kick ban.
That was reasonably improvised, and I think that's worth maybe 2 out of 10. Well done.
The next one you have to sing.
No.
Sing limericks.
Right. Any other business this week?
Possibly. So I'm going to be away for at least 1 week, possibly 2.
Mm-hmm.
I've told you, but I'm telling everyone else as well. So if someone goes off and says, "Where's Ben next week?" it's because I'm on holiday.
Yes.
No, I think you are working with Sovereign on the next lot of Manscaped.
Sovereign and I are not doing anything to do with his baby.
No. I think you're teaming up with him to shoot a joint Manscaped episode.
Man,
What is Manscaped? Do I want to know what this is?
You don't want to know.
Oh no! I can't believe you of all people don't know about that. Anyway, we don't have any question of the week. We've got enough smut and limericks to last us for 2 weeks, so those will be back next week. So
you've got another one. Oh, okay. Sorry, Colin.
Yes,
that's another one.
Yes, he would, wouldn't he?
There was a young lady from Venus whose pirate was one of the meanest. Till one day in a sidewinder, I got in behind her. I can't say that the kill was my cleanest.
Oh, that's reasonably well done. I'd give that one 7 out of 10. Right. Well, I'm afraid we'll give the shout-outs for everybody else at the moment. So first one is our sister station, Hutton Orbital Radio. It broadcasts on a Thursday at 8:30 GMT. You can tune in at twitch.tv Hutton Orbital Truckers, or if you just want the audio, go to radio.forthemug.com. For the discerning commander that likes a bit of CQC action, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/EliteDangerousCQC. Giving a shout out to the following Elite Dangerous podcasts which have appeared over the last year or so. So it's Algarab AM, Black Sky Legion, Canon Podcast for the Spanish speakers is the Elite Cast, the Fatherhood Podcast, Flight Assist, Guard Frequency, Loose Screws, Squeaky Fuel, and System Chat. Also, for those who want a literary discussion about sci-fi and fantasy books, please subscribe to the Data Slate podcast created by Station Commander Alan Stroud. Following this, we have the latest Galnet News Digest as provided by Commander Witherspoon and Commander Beetlejude. And we'd just like to thank everybody who's chipped in the Twitch chat and the in-game... Emma, how many in-game commanders have joined you, Ben?
I've been joined by Miggles and Mack.
So hello to Miggles and Mack. Thanks for keeping in company.
And we've been getting shot at.
Have you?
Yes.
They're being naughty boys at more metal.
We kind of shot at the NPCs and they shot back.
Get what you deserve there. And we'd just like to say special thanks to Commander Tokuso, who created the music for the introduction of the show. So, that's it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can email info@laveradio.com, hit us up at facebook.com/laveradio, tweet us at Lave Radio, or you could join our Discord server by going to discord.io/laveradio. We also have a TeamSpeak server where commanders come to hang out and chat, and you can find that at teamspeak.laveradio.com. Do get in touch if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode. Or any complaints about bad poetry, please send that to vogonpoetry@ben@laveradio.com. One last thing, Shan.
Yes, if you want to tell Colin what manscaping is.
No, you don't need to tell me. You don't need to tell me. You have to tell Ben. Have your ears plugged up with wax again?
I'm sure Ben actually knows what manscaping is. He wouldn't be surprised if he's actually asked Mrs. Ben for a set for his wedding anniversary present.
Right. Well, on that bombshell, just would like to remind you that Lave Radio is recorded, unfortunately, live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 GMT and streamed out at laveradio.com/live on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitch. So thanks to Commander Alec Turner, thanks to Commander Yanick, And thank to Commander Mack Winston for joining us, in addition to our usual contributors of Ben and Shan. And special thanks goes out to today's tech specialist, Commander Ventura, for jumping in at the last minute and saving. So until next time, Commanders, fly safe. And if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Is your life like this?
Sounds like someone having an orange inserted. You need a safe word.
Space can be loaded.
I'm gonna see the galaxy.
Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
According to scientists, Uranus is full of methane gas.
I think you're right, though, Colin.
What have you done with Shan, and when can we have him back?
Galnet News Special, 3rd of August 3307. The all-powerful Sirius Corporation. The recent allegation that the Sirius Corporation is helping to deliver the new Onion Head Gamma strain to market is the latest in a string of accusations levelled against the company that indicate that Sirius may be out of control. In this episode, we look back at the history of the Sirius Corporation.
Founded way back in the 24th century as a supplier of fuel to the superpowers in the corporate colony of Sirius, the corporation became hugely important when it developed a far better, faster and more reliable means of jumping a spaceship between star systems than anything previously imagined. This near-instantaneous means of jumping to distant stars was first put to use in Sirius's own passenger liner, the Highliner Antares, in 3251, an experimental vessel that perhaps inadvisedly took passengers on its maiden and final voyage. The ship went missing and was eventually discovered 50 years later as a cluster of wreckage components in Luyten 205-128. There were rumours that Core Dynamics had sabotaged the drive, but it appears most likely that the catastrophe was the result of insufficient power regulation in the hyperdrive. Nothing daunted, Sirius continued development, and several decades later, this new and unstable hyperdrive had evolved into the frameshift drive we all rely on for our daily business.
Sirius strenuously denied that the frameshift drive was the same technology as the drive that had destroyed the Antares. And to some extent this assertion was validated when it was discovered that the development of the frameshift drive had been given a massive boost when details of a reverse-engineered Thargoid hyperdrive fell into Sirius hands in the 3270s. This was clearly an act of espionage. It is believed that it was the shadier parts of the Alliance that did all the hard work on analysing the Thargoid technology, including conducting highly dangerous experiments using brave test pilots. But it was Sirius that benefited, and it was largely the success of this partly stolen technology that allowed Sirius to start expanding more rapidly than ever before.
Sirius has long had a militia, Sirius Navy. It said that Sirius would actively encourage independent systems to buy its products by sending a fleet of gunships to terrorise the decision-makers. But in October 3304, the best publicised of Sirius's attempts at strong-arm tactics was its attempt to coerce engineer Ramtar to release the blueprints for his painstakingly researched Guardian human hybrid fighters. Ramtar's base was repeatedly attacked by persons unknown, and the Sirius Corporation nobly offered to step in to protect the engineer. However, when some of the criminals were captured, it transpired that they were on the Sirius Navy payroll. Sirius was shocked at this and ordered an internal inquiry, at which it was discovered that some junior officers had been acting without authority, and they were sentenced to life imprisonment without any contact with the outside world.
Despite the theft of Alliance Thargoid technology, the Expansionist Alliance under Prime Minister Edmund Mahon has been keen to work with Sirius. Sirius Atmospherics accompanied the Alliance when it expanded into the Coalsack Nebula, and it was that division's plans to terraform ammonia worlds that may have incited the Thargoids to strike back on the last day of 3306.
More recently, in June, the newly elected Alliance Prime Minister largely failed in his attempt to expand Alliance influence by constructing new starports, only raising enough support to fund one new starport. And yet, mysteriously, not one but two new starports were built, and the second, Prosperity Core, was mysteriously staffed by Sirius Corporation employees when it opened. It seems highly likely that the Sirius Corporation has been funding the Alliance expansion as a means to further its own influence. And in fact, Sirius has been taking much the same approach with Archon Delane's Kumo crew.
When Archon Delane crashed the Galactic Summit in the Sirius system in January, Sirius Corporation Chairman Lee Young-rui welcomed him in. This led to accusations that Sirius was afraid of the self-styled Pirate King. But in retrospect, it seems that Sirius might have had a business proposition in mind. When the Kumo crew sought to expand from the Pegasi sector to all parts of the bubble, and even into Colonia, it was the Sirius Corporation that acted as enabler and that established subsidiaries in the majority of the new stations. The Alliance and Archon Delane's influence may be expanding, but Sirius has been expanding with both, and now has an even greater grasp on the inhabited parts of the galaxy.
The news, or rather the allegation, that Sirius is seeking to profit from the illegal trade in Onionhead gamma strain should come as no surprise. It may even be that Sirius developed the drug, and the Viper crew are nothing more than a cover story to explain why Archon Delane suddenly has a high-volume, high-profit narcotic that he can sell through intermediaries in a number of anarchic industrial systems. The extremely rapid availability of the drug after it had been announced suggests a powerful, well-connected, and capable backer for the project.
The Sirius Corporation cares about two things: profit and influence. Where most corporations exist to serve their shareholders, the Sirius Corporation has ambitions to become the fourth superpower. It has demonstrated what appears to be altruism when it helped fund the Marlinist refugee colonies and when it made the advanced detailed surface scanner available to all. But everything it does is geared towards ratcheting up its political, military and economic position in the galaxy. We can clearly see the direction of travel. Within the next few years, Sirius will make its bid and may become the sort of corporatist superpower the Jupiter division tried and failed to establish in the Federation.
Lave Radio coming in with that hot raid. Lave Radio, I'm not worthy. What is up, Lave Radio? Thank you so much for that raid. Can we get a huge shout out for Lave Radio? Guys, if you don't know who I am, my name is Deep Blue Beard. I'm a 100% disabled Army veteran. For whatever reason, I'm alive here today to show you guys you can be successful in life no matter what you choose to do. I am a 100% disabled Army veteran. I work at a VA hospital helping my fellow veterans behind the scenes now. I stream Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. I'm a huge mental health advocate. All I want to do is put a smile on people's faces and ensure that they never get close to the abyss the way that I have. Welcome in, Raiders. How are you guys doing? I hope everybody is having a fantastical day. Lave Radio, how was your stream? What is going on, everyone? So good to see you guys. Idleweeze, what is going on? How are you? Commander Ventura, what is up? You guys are epic. Thank you so much for the raid. I am not worthy. Thank you. Got a podcast to edit. Hey, get it. It takes work. Make it happen. Commander Ventura, make it happen. Make it so. Last Angry Panda with that Prime Gaming sub. Out of all the streamers on Twitch you can use that on, you choose to use it on me. I am blessed. I can't say thank you enough. Thank you for using that free Prime Gaming sub on me. You could have chose anybody on Twitch, and there's a lot, and you chose me. Commander Ventura, thank you so much for that follow. You're an amazing, beautiful soul. Love your face. Welcome to the family of Enjoy Your Stay. So, guys, what's going on? How are you? How's your Tuesday? Tell me all about it. How was the stream? What's going on? Give me all the scoop. Give me the deets. Talk to me. Today's just an extra chill day. We're doing a little bit of bounty hunting now, just because we got some chill radio. It's just, we're just sitting on the couch talking. This is just this. We're here. So talk to me. How was everything today, guys? What's up? I want to get to know you guys. There's some new faces that I don't know today, and I really want to get to know you guys. Oh, it's Beetle Jude! Oh, can't wait. Awesome. Did they give you a tracking number or anything so I know when to check for it? If it, just let me know when it, if they did, just let me know when it arrives, or they say that it, and I'll go get it. And Beetlejude, I have to do this for you guys. Beetlejude, if you haven't seen her YouTube and you don't know who she is and you don't know the art
gifted a tier 1 sub
that she does,
_Beetlejude.
if you guys don't know who Beetlejude is, the art she does, if you guys are, you have a celebrity in the house, and I can't, just Beetlejude, I love you. You're amazing. Cal Sierra and Warped Drive, thank you both for those follows. You're both amazing, beautiful souls. Love your faces. Welcome to the family. Enjoy your stays. Yeah, Beetlejuice, just if they gave you some kind of tracking, just let me know when it should get about close, and I'll go pick it up, because I don't check that box until I know something's there. Speaking of, guys, if you do decide, for whatever reason, you get a hair up your rear and you want to send me a package, I do have a P.O. box listed below. Just let me know that something is coming, because I don't check it unless I need to. Yep, she also helps with Galnet News. Her and another couple of people. Galnet News is absolutely amazing. Guys, we do show it here occasionally on our breaks. If you don't know about Galnet News, that is the lady, one of the people behind it. Make sure, guys, if you don't know who Beetlejuice is, you check her out.
Shields offline.
Hasta la vista, baby.
That's what you get for shooting at me.
Executing now.
That's what he gets for shooting at me. So what is up, guys? Sorry, I got a little zoned in there. It was 3v1. You know, we got a little zoned in there. These are NPCs, but other people can't. We are in open, so like Commander Kerpel, that's another person. He's in the wing with me. Stug, Vagabond, they're all in wings with me. Right now we're killing NPCs, but other people will show up in things like this.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Come on.